flashy ball player, but he's your blue-collar, steel-town type of player. A screenplay, we don't see many of those in the CFL anymore. Right over the middle, and he picks up the first down.
First and 10, a fine second down conversion, as the ball is now at the 27-yard line. Handoff to John Hood, and Hood is tripped up as he tried to go off tackle. It was Smith who managed to get a hand on him with help maybe from John Kropke. Kropke had been knocked down at the line of scrimmage, but reached out and may have been able to trip up John Hood. It's a pickup of about 4 yards, make it second and 6 for the Ticats.
Well, I like what Rosenbaugh's done on his opening drive, Don. He's been very well at mixing his plays, the run with the pass, the screen pass to Lee Knight, which has gotten him down to the 23-yard line.
Ticats have held the ball for almost 5 minutes from the kick. Pass is complete to Means, and he will have another first down to the 10-yard line. Young made the tackle, but this is what coaches like to see, is a quarterback putting together a nice long drive.
Ball control, Don. We see Calvin Means as he works underneath, but ball control by Tim Rosenbaugh. He really has this Ottawa defense off balance at the moment because they don't know where it's going to go. Means has always been his primary target, and the secondary is off. Andre Francis is giving too much room, and Rosenbaugh, even he will take advantage of that.
Pass intended for Means. He's got it. Touchdown. Well, the Hamilton Ticats have the means, and they also found the way into the end zone.
Well, the way was getting quarterback Tim Rosenbaugh on track. He's been maligned coming into this game. The big trade for Reggie Slack earlier in the week, but he has come out and showed that he has that confidence to deliver as a player, and that time he led his Hamilton Tiger Cats all the way downfield with the opening kickoff for the opening major. We see Means right here getting that push off of Francis right at the last moment in the corner, inside the flag, touchdown Hamilton.
An excellent drive put together by Tim Rosenbaugh in the opening series for the Hamilton Ticats.
We had some movement by Val St. Germain at left guard that time on the specialty team, and I think they're going to push Hamilton back another 5 yards here.
But that should be pretty much a chip shot for Paul Osbaldiston if they do take them back 5 yards, although it doesn't look as though anybody is going to move.
Well, what you do is you just decline this one and play it all over. No advantage gained by either team.
In his second CFL game, Calvin Means had 122 yards against Baltimore, 149 last week against Toronto, and a touchdown. And this is his second touchdown of his CFL career.
Don, what you noticed right there, that was critical at Rosenbaugh. He threw the ball within 3 steps. He didn't bother to wait to let the coverage come over.
Fred Ward and Joe Campbell are back for the kickoff. It's taken by Campbell. And Campbell got to the 30-yard line, and he stopped there by Steve McKee.
This is the situation for the Ottawa offense that they're starting in, that they've been in many times this year, trailing, starting a ball game. And quarterback Danny Barrett, it's all on his shoulders to get the job done once again tonight.
Well, Danny Barrett has been in a couple of high-scoring games, the second highest in CFL history last week. And Barrett also has the second highest passing total in a single game. 601 yards last year against Toronto. That mark eclipsed, of course, earlier this season, Matt Dunnigan against the Edmonton Eskimos. Draw play with Darren Joseph, and Joseph was tripped up right at the line of scrimmage.
Actually fell over the foot of Bruce Beaton, his offensive guard. Otherwise, he had a gaping hole right up front, Don.
And Danny Barrett is working with a new center in this game, not a center new to the Ottawa Rough Riders, but he has been with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers for the past few years. I'm referring to Nick Benjamin, number 61, starting at center in place of the injured Irv Damon.
He was the #1 pick in the CFL 1984 overall by the Ottawa Rough Riders originally.
On second down to Stephan Jones, and Jones is caught immediately and stopped at the 35-yard line. Gary Wilkerson came up from his right corner position to make the tackle. So the Hamilton defense has done its job. It's 2 and out for the Ottawa Rough Riders.
Well, Gary Wilkerson is probably the most solid member of this Hamilton secondary. You see him right there, close on the ball. As soon as Stephan Jones broke, he came out of his squat in his coverage, came up close, made the tackle short of the first down.
Adrian Smith and Wally Zatilny are back for this third down punt by Terry Baker. 8:01 remaining in the opening quarter. The opening touchdown drive by the Ticats consumed 5 minutes and 39 seconds. Adrian Smith mishandles it, gets it back. And he's brought down immediately by Dean Noel. That was a 49-yard pick by Terry Baker, chasing the Ticats back to their own 19-yard line.
Marvelous coverage by the specialty teams of the Rough Riders. It's very critical in the CFL that you can get those teams down, bracket the return man, and limit his game.
7:47 remaining in the opening quarter. Scott?
John, an update on another CFL game being played tonight. Baltimore is hosting Sacramento. The Gold Miners jumped into a 14-3 first quarter lead, but Tracy Ham has brought Baltimore back to 14-10. They're expecting 40,000 there tonight. Now we're going to see if Tim Rosenbach can assemble another touchdown drive here at Frank Clair. Don?
Well, he tosses complete to Lonsdale Hill, his first catch of the night, and it will be close to another first down.
Well, what we've seen thus far with Tim Rosenbach, you have to compliment the young man for the job that he's done here in the first quarter. He's been very diversified in his receiving corps. Lonsdale Hill, a veteran receiver out of the University of Washington, that time working from the left inside slot, getting to the outside and had plenty of room to make the first down.
Lonsdale Hill missed 3 games earlier this year with injuries. We were critical of Tim Rosenbach in the fourth quarter last week against Toronto, suggesting he had tunnel vision. Well, tonight he has certainly spread the ball around. He has used all of his receivers and his back. John Hood, the ball carrier, for a gain of about 5 yards. Jesse Small and Derek McCready were in on the stop. You know, the man who started last week, Todd Dillon, suggested maybe it would benefit Tim Rosenbach to stand on the sideline and watch a CFL game to see what was going on. Maybe he did gain something from the experience last week.
Well, I think, Don, what he gained was peripheral vision from that sitting back observing, because that gave him an opportunity to observe the whole field, and that's what he's been seeing thus far here in the first quarter.
2nd and 7 for Hamilton. Rosenbach to Abraire, and Abraire has another first down. Abraire coming across the middle in full stride took the pass from Rosenbach.
Don, we've complimented Tim Rosenbach, but the most critical part of this first quarter, he hasn't been touched by the Hamilton defense. He has been given plenty of time by his offensive line. They've done a fine job of protecting Rosenbach, those big guys up front, St. Germain, Douglas, Harley, Sanderson, and Gitopoulos, and we know that Sanderson was injured last week in the game. They're doing an admirable job here in the first quarter protecting the quarterback.
1st and 10. The ball is at the 48. This is a reverse, or at least they fake the reverse. Abraire is wide open. He's gone. What a beautiful fake. They threw everybody in. They faked the reverse to Orlando McKay, and Abraire was all by himself for a 62-yard touchdown.
And it all led back to the protection by the offensive line. We saw the fake coming back to McKay, but he's been given time, and the key was that he has gotten out of that tunnel vision sequence that he had been playing in, being diversified with his receiving corps, spreading the wealth around. That time, Kenny Vera was the recipient of it. Right here, we'll see as he comes from underneath the quarterback. He'll fake the ball. Watch McKay comes around. He'll hand the ball back. He pulls up inside a small. Abraire was released down the sideline. He was off to the races, Don.
Nobody around Ken Abraire, one of the easiest touchdowns he has scored in the Canadian Football League, and with the point after by Paul Osbaldiston, the Hamilton Ticats have a 14-0 lead. We'll be back with the Ticat kickoff after this. Two receivers who have both been incorporated in the Ticat attack tonight. Ken Abraire scoring the 62-yard touchdown that makes it 14-0. But a great fake by Rosenbach to Orlando McKay on a reverse.
That was the key to it, Don. That fake and allowed Abraire to get behind coverage, and he was open downfield.
Campbell is being chased by Carter, and he's caught. A 24-yard return by Joe Campbell.
John, Joe Campbell's a perfect of how fate is in the CFL. He was in training camp with the Hamilton Tiger Cats. They could not find a position for him. They had Bruce Perkins and John Hood in the running back position. They felt that he was expendable. He came over to the Ottawa Rough Rider, and he is the 4th back to gain over 100 yards this year on the ground for the Ottawa Rough Riders. He did it last week against the Las Vegas Possum.
Now, Michael Richardson started the year in such brilliant fashion, and then he was hurt. And now Campbell may soon be out of a job with Richardson just about due to return. And Campbell is the ball carrier, stopped right at the line of scrimmage.
But one key about Campbell is that he was drafted by the Rams 2 years ago as a wide receiver and tried to convert him to a wide receiver where he was a running back in college. He can move into that slot position that Jock Climby has not been able to come that hamstring pull on, which adds another dimension to their offense.
Adam Rita was talking about last week's game and saying we fell into a hole early against Las Vegas and still came back to score 54. They're in an even bigger hole tonight against Hamilton with 4:25 remaining in the opening quarter. They trail by 14. Barrett's pass is complete to Stephan Jones, the veteran receiver. Found an opening at the 45 of the Hamilton Ticats in front of Gary Wilkerson.
Well, it's hard to keep those two players down for any length of time. Stephan Jones and Danny Barrett worked so well. Danny Barrett has been a quality leader in every CFL team that he has bounced around through. And coming over here this year from the BC Lions, you see right here is Jones working down. Barrett is patient enough on his rollout to find his key receiver in the open in front of Gary Wilkerson.
This is only the third game for Stephan Jones. He has been hurt. He's coming off back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons. And this is Campbell, the ball carrier, picking up about 3 yards. Michael O'Shea, the middle linebacker, came in to make the tackle on Campbell.
Well, Campbell, when he was in college, he rushed for over 6,000 yards in Division I AA in a small college. But coming here to the CFL, he has been able to make that adjustment. And the offensive line for Ottawa has done some key adjustments this year. That time running behind Jim Mills, beaten on the right side. Campbell was able to pick up 4 yards on first down.
Yeah, I want to ask you, where is Middle Tennessee State?
Middle Tennessee. That's a hard one, Don.
Incomplete. There's a penalty flag in the play as well. It may have been Campbell with an illegal procedure call. He may have been across the line of scrimmage before the ball was snapped.
Well, that time they were very lucky that wasn't picked off that time. Adrian Smith had a good break on the football, and the ball got past him before he could get there. He was a player in position that might have been able to catch that football.
Offside, Ottawa number 13, declined, third down.
Well, you're in field goal range for Terry Baker with about a 46-yard shot, so you might want to bring him in here.
Twice this year, Terry Baker has kicked a field goal of 47 yards, so this is certainly within the range of the Hamilton place kicker.
You know, Terry Baker has matured as a kicker. When he got his first job kicking, he was a punter with the Saskatchewan Roughriders. He was on that Grey Cup team and over here in 1990, and he took over the dual with the Ottawa Rough Riders. He's been very successful.
A 46-yard effort. Home despair. And the Ottawa Rough Riders are on the scoreboard with 2:40 remaining in the opening quarter.
Just bought a new home, Sunshine.
Fourth telecast we've had this year involving the Ticats, and I have not yet seen their level of emotion as high as it is tonight. It has all to do with 2 touchdowns in the first quarter, one of them on their longest drive of the season. Look at Paul Osvalduson on the Hamilton bench. Donnie hasn't had to punt yet. Normally at this point in the first quarter, he's kicked the ball away 3 or 4 times. No one's happier about the inactivity than he is.
Absolutely, and I think Orlando McKay may have been a little unhappy with the coverage he was receiving downfield. But further to your comment about Paul Osvalduson, this year, in the first 9 games, the Hamilton Ticats managed just 21 points. Tonight, they've already scored 2 converted touchdowns.
Well, they've scored 2 games totals worth of touchdowns thus here in the first quarter, Don, and their offense has been very productive, and it makes it much easier to play, and especially for your defense.
Lee Knight makes the catch even though he had been knocked down. Tim Rosenbaugh was under pressure.
Well, Ottawa came on a delayed blitz that time, and it opened right up, and Tim Rosenbaugh was standing there with nothing but a red jersey in front of him, and he did all he could to save that loss and get the ball off to Lee Knight for only a 2-yard gain, and Paul Osvalduson and Scott Spoke got to go to work now.
They're making a change at the center position for the long snaps. Going in is Peter Gisborne replacing Darryl Harley. Now, Paul Osbaldiston was telling me before the game that last week Darryl Harley was handling the third down snaps despite having a badly injured elbow, and he was having a lot of problems. And Gisborne has had some problems, obviously. A bad snap that Osbaldiston was lucky he got away. There's a penalty flag as Patrick Burke fields it, but I think it will be waived because that was Osbaldiston who came up trying to make the tackle, and the kicker is allowed to come into that 5-yard area.
It's ever so critical to have a long snapper that you've worked with and is very comfortable. Gisborne being in his CFL game.
We have no foul on the play. Number 3 called for no yards is the punter. There is no foul.
You know,
First down.
you got a lot of pressure, Don, coming in, and they'll put a guy right over the nose of the center, and Gisborne right there could not handle that pressure. You'll see the ball. It will skip back to Osbaldiston, gets up in his chest, and he has a tough time trying to field it. He was very lucky to even get it away with Thomas coming in on top of him, and he almost recovered his own bad kick.
Osbaldiston said that Gisborne had been handling the snaps very well in practice all week, but he may have been just a little nervous with his first ever game situation.
Those live bullets are just a little different.
First and 10 Ottawa from the 40-yard line. Barrett completes the pass to Nick Mazzoli, and this will be a first down taken out of bounds by Adrian Smith. And Mazzoli is playing with his thumb taped to his index finger on his left hand. He broke it last week against Las Vegas.
And he broke it in the first half. He came back after breaking the hand, had 2 receptions for 26 yards, and Coach Adam Reeder told him, hey, it was all concentration before. That's all you have to do is concentrate on it, and you can make the catch.
Mazzoli again, and he makes the catch. Good concentration, but the gain is limited to just 3 yards. Now, Mazzoli was a slot back when he was with Hamilton. When he came to Ottawa, he was moved outside a couple of games back. Adam Reeder said it was more of an accident than anything else, with Fred Ward going inside and Mazzoli out to the wideout spot.
But look at the concentration here by Mazzoli. He extends his body fully, makes that grab. Only a gain of 4, but the excellent execution on the play and the willingness to sacrifice your body to make the catch, that's what makes teams bond together. And Ottawa, you can see, is starting to gel as a team here.
Second and 6. The ball is at the 25. Pass complete. And this should be a first down with James Ellington making the catch at the 19-yard line. Hit there by Don Odegaard.
The Duke, as he's so lovely known by his teammate, James Ellington, there with the grab. The concentration was leveled by the defender, but the concentration in holding onto the ball is what we spoke about with this Ottawa team. Coach Adam Reeder said that the players are starting to play up to Danny Barrett's level. He's taken over the leadership of this club, and they're responding.
Darren Joseph, the barrier. He'll only get a yard, maybe 2, stopped by Reggie Rogers on the final play of the opening quarter here at Frank Clair Stadium, with the Rough Riders trailing by 11.
Very little date on the ball.
The CFL on CBC. Brought to you by Dodge Trucks, reinventing the truck.
Welcome back to Frank Clair Stadium, where the Riders start the second quarter, 2nd and 8, trailing 14-3, and the ball is at the 17-yard line of Hamilton. Barrett looks for Stephan Jones, incomplete. Adrian Smith was defending against him.
Don, I think it might be safe that Adrian Smith got a gift against him, because Adrian Smith had climbed up the back of Stephan Jones prior to the ball arriving, and Stephan Jones had a valid complaint that time. The official blew the call. You'll see right here as Barrett has plenty of time from his offensive line. Watch Adrian Smith as he arrives prior to the ball over the top of Stephan Jones right there, and he pushes the receiver past the football, and he didn't make the catch. We'll get one more shot of it here from a low angle. Clearly an interference call that was missed by the official.
Terry Baker with the field goal attempt. And this one is wide and sails through the end zone for a single point.
Terry Baker a little frustrated right there. Normally a chip shot for him. Doing my many travels in the CFL, Don, I've acquired a lot of former teammates. Terry Baker was one and Danny Barrett was one. Both of them had children on the same day. Brianna Baker, the third child of the Baker family, and Zachary Barrett, the son of Danny Barrett.
Any other social announcements that you'd like to deal with tonight?
Well, I hadn't heard anything from your household yet, so I think that's a safe call.
154 first quarter yards for the Hamilton Ticats. Some nights that has represented an entire game's offense for Hamilton. I think Don Southern has to be very pleased with what he's seen so far from his offensive unit. John Hood takes the ball to the 40-yard line, stopped there by Brian Bonner. It will be 2nd and 5.
Well, it makes you walk a little easier on the sideline when you're head coach and your offense can get you 14 first quarter points. But there was a little dissatisfaction on that punt, an attempted punt, when the ball didn't get back to Paul Osbaldiston. That's when your coaching is put to the test, but they were able to escape with only 1 point given up by the defense.
Don Southern was one of those who had applied for the head coaching position with the Ottawa Rough Riders before Adam Rita was hired. Rosenbaugh has his pass knocked down by Horace Brooks. And Rosenbaugh may have misread that one as Brooks came into the ball game as a 6th defensive back on what the Riders anticipated would be an obvious passing situation.
Well, this is Brooks' second game as a defensive back. Last week he played his first game and got an interception last week that he returned for 14 yards and almost came up with his second interception. I mean, if a guy can read a quarterback, that's Horace Brooks, who spent the first part of the season as a wide receiver.
Gisborne gets another opportunity to try and center the ball cleanly to punter Paul Osbaldiston. Nick Mazzoli is the lone man back. Here comes pressure, and Osbaldiston got it away. Mazzoli takes it at the 27-yard line. And is knocked out of bounds, and I thought for a moment that there might be an additional penalty flag, as that was a borderline call on a hit out of bounds by Richard Nurse, but there was no flag. An 8-yard return. Scott?
Don, Reggie Slack's trade to Hamilton finalized yesterday. The Ticats are aware his knee's not 100%, but deem is playing an acceptable risk, and obviously so do you.
Yeah, absolutely. Something that I've been dealing with for the past 2 years, and I'm prepared to deal with it for the rest of my career.
Obvious question is, how confident are you can win the starting job? But Tim Rosenbaugh's making a statement tonight, is he not?
Yeah, Tim's playing very well. We're moving the football. We're putting points on the board, and you know, that's what we want our quarterback to do. And as long as Tim is doing that, we're going to be fine.
Reggie, thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Don?
All right, Scott, 1st and 10 for the Rough Riders, and the ball carrier is Campbell up to the 40-yard line. A gain of about 4, stopped by Reggie Rogers. Further to Reggie Slack being with the Ticats, obviously, James, they aren't going to be able to keep 3 quarterbacks. There's even been a bit of a rumor that Gil Scott, the agent for Todd Dillon, has been looking around and talking to Shreveport about possibly making a deal.
Well, I think it's a plus situation for the Hamilton Ticats. I think it may have been a big motivator for Tim Rosenbaugh and Reggie Slack coming over. But I don't think that they'll make any changes if Tim Rosenbaugh is doing the job. Reggie Slack is an added plus for this team.
Complete to Fred Ward, 1st down as he cut inside Greg Eaglin to make the catch. And he takes the ball to the 54.
You know, Don, with that addition of Reggie Slack, and you know, sometimes you think it might create a little controversy within a team, but I think with his leadership qualities, most quarterbacks understand when they come to new teams that they're not going to play right away. And when Reggie Slack comes in here and you're talking about Gil Scott talking with Shreveport, it's a situation that Coach Don Sutherland has to like being in right now.
Fred Ward, since coming to the Ottawa Rough Riders from the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, has played a major role in the passing scheme. He's been a favorite target of Danny Barrett. Barrett looking down the sidelines for Stephan Jones. Now Jones has stepped out of bounds, and there's also a penalty flag as Barrett took a late hit from John Moten.
Major foul, roughing the passer, number 55, Hamilton.
Pardon me, it was Tim Cofield who was guilty of the major foul. John Moulton was just arguing about it.
Well, Tim Cofield has been a little frustrated thus far this season. We've gone past the halfway point in the CFL, and he was one of the top sackers in the league, but yet he hasn't had a sack in the past 3 games. I mean, Danny Barrow was just about ready to go back to the huddle and call a play when Tim Cofield hit him from behind. Excuse me there.
First and 10 from the 41-yard line. Darren Joseph will only pick up a yard. He was racked up by the right side of that Hamilton defensive unit, Rogers and Cofield.
You know, when you look at this Ottawa team, just when they thought they were getting healthy, and they lost Herb Damon, their starting center for the past 7 years with this team. Nick Benjamin moving in, who came back over from Winnipeg, where he spent the past couple of seasons on the past 2 Grey Cup teams that Winnipeg had, and now he's back in, started as a guard. Now he's been converted to the starting center tonight.
Second and 9, Ottawa. Stephan Jones lined up wide right. Danny Barrett going to try and run. Oh, he was decked. Hassan Bailey stayed at home. Barrett, who had success last week against Vegas on a quarterback draw, and obviously the Ticats did their homework on this play as Bailey stayed at home.
Well, you see, Barrett couldn't find a primary receiver. He steps up in the pocket, and Hassan Bailey plants Danny Barrett right there in it. This is a young man who had an excellent game last week in the Labor Day game in Hamilton versus Toronto. That time a nice form tackle, squared up, put that shoulder pad in the chest, and dropped it. We see Nick Benjamin working here at Michael Philbrook, doing a good job at the center position along with Bruce Beaton.
Terry Baker will be attempting a 49-yard field goal. He was good earlier from 46 yards. Just one man back. That's Todd Wiseman. Now they're going to punt it instead, but it's blocked. Greg Eaglin got through to block it, and Baker brings him down. Now they were lined up in field goal formation. It was a direct snap to Terry Baker, and lined up just 7 yards deep. Greg Eaglin was there for the block. Hamilton takes over.
Eaglin is going to get a clear line right in front of Baker right here. When he comes through unblocked, the 2 outside guys turn outside. Boom, he comes through clean, gets the block. Hamilton with great field position.
He returned to 10 yards. Now, if they were lined up 15 yards deep, Eaglin wouldn't get there. And if Fleetwood had pinned the ball for a field goal, he wouldn't have gotten there either. But in punt formation, 7 yards deep, Eaglin had time.
Very easy to get to.
Incomplete pass. It was intended for Means. It will be 2nd and 10.
Well, Eaglin, you see him on the sideline right there. This Hamilton defense has played a well of a first half thus far. They have to be feeling very good about the position that they put their offense in. They've been able to stay off the field, get a rest. Tim Rosenbaum has been operating very efficiently at quarterback tonight.
Eaglin's first start as a Ticat was against the Ottawa Rough Riders on July 28th. He had been with the Calgary Stampeders. 2nd and 10. The ball is at the 49 of Ottawa. Rosenbaum over the middle, and this will be close to a first down. Lonzel Hill made the catch at the 39-yard line. Let's see where they actually spot it. They're going to put it at the 38, and this will be a first down, Hamilton.
Well, Tim Rosenbaum has used all his weapons tonight in his offense. Right here, you'll see Lonzel Hill. He's going to come out of the right side of your screen. He goes and sets down in that soft spot of the zone. Rosenbaum gets the ball to him on his break. He's at the 38-yard line. He's pushed back. He got the spot of the catch.
1st and 10 from the 38. The toss is to Hood. Hood cuts back inside, and he's brought down by Alfred Smith.
Very critical for John Hood tonight, Don, to have a good, solid running game to complement Tim Rosenbaum's passing of the football, because if he can pick up some decent yard on first down, running with the football, it's going to make things very easy for Tim Rosenbaum as the game progresses on, not to feel the pressure that he has to carry the weight of the team on his shoulders.
2nd and 7, Hamilton. Rosenbaum overthrows Lonzel Hill. Brett Young was running out there with him, and that means that Paul Osbaldiston will come into the ball game to attempt the field goal.
Hamilton tonight has done quite a few things well. They've played good offense. They've had good response from their specialty teams. The defense has been able to keep Ottawa out of the end zone thus far here in the first half. And now Paul Osbaldiston back on again to try another long field goal attempt.
In the 40 to 50-yard range, Osbaldiston has hit 5 of 8 this season. And this one is wide. Nick Mazzoli in the end zone is going to concede the single point. So with 7:48 remaining in the first half, it's now a 15-4 ball game favoring the Ticats.
On Live at the Half tonight, what does Danny Barrett have to do to get respect? We'll talk to the Riders quarterback, who's on his 4th CFL stop, and we'll go to Winnipeg on the eve of the Bombers rematch with Saskatchewan. In Baltimore, Sacramento leads 17-11 late in the second quarter. In Winnipeg, the Bombers have more of a passing interest in this game. They'd love for Sacramento to win, which would give them a chance then tomorrow to move into sole possession of first place in the CFL East. Don?
Yes, tomorrow at Winnipeg Stadium, a rematch, the Bombers and the Rough Riders, and we'll have that game for you on CBC television. And right now, the Ticats have the football. Darren Joseph fumbled it, and the Rough Riders' Hassan Bailey comes up with it.
Just when it seems like you might be able to stay off the opponent, you make another critical mistake. In the past 2 series that the Rough Riders have had the ball, they've made critical mistakes on the mishandle on the punt. Now, once again, make that Campbell didn't get the handoff. Looked like it hit him a little low in the thigh, and he kicks the ball away right here. Barrett just didn't get it inside, and they didn't get the handle on it.
First and 10 from the 35-yard line. Pressure from the backside. Benefield was coming. Rosenbaugh didn't see him until the very last minute.
That's what Rosenbaugh has been able to avoid most of the night, is the intense pressure of the defense of the Ottawa Rough Riders. Watch Benefield come off the corner here. He'll turn the corner past Knight. He was picked off, and he just levels Tim Rosenbaugh. Your quarterback can't take too many of those down during the game.
Rosenbaugh was fortunate as that ball fluttered up there that it wasn't picked off. It's 2nd and 10 from the 35. Rosenbaugh with time, and he completes the pass to Calvin Means, but he's short of a first down by almost 5 yards. Brian Bonner was over to make the tackle.
But once again, Paul Osbaldiston in decent field goal range to attempt his 3rd of the night, Don. You'll see Means here working off, coming inside on the quick slant. You got to pick up 10. You can't break it off at 5, hoping that you can get it running when the coverage is that close on top of you. You got to go to 10 if you want the first down. Inside the 40-yard line, Osbaldiston this year has only missed 1, and that one was blocked in the game against Baltimore. That's because he didn't get it up. He missed his last try from 42 yards. This one is good, as Paul Osbaldiston kicks the Hamilton Ticats into a 14-point lead. Right now, the Ottawa Rough Riders have to be shaking their head. You see Tim Rosenbaugh talking with Coach Gary Durchik on the Hamilton bench right there, getting a little assistance from backup quarterback Todd Dillon, adjusting what he saw, what he didn't recognize in that last offensive sequence. Lonzel Hill, you can see where he was speaking about where it was open in the seam, working out, and Rosenbaugh missed it. And Reggie Slack, who underwent a couple of medical examinations, and there was some speculation that maybe the trade between Toronto and Hamilton would be voided because of some of the knee problems that Slack has, but confirmation was received yesterday that the trade will stand. Barrett is being chased. There are penalty flags all over the place as Barrett is taken down rather heavily and doesn't like the tackle that was put on him by Hassan Bailey. Well, one of the things about Slack, and you talk about the intense medical examinations that he went under, you will never get a doctor who will flunk a player on a medical exam. He will advise the team that they will be operating under considerable risk because of the past history of a player. So it's up to the team to decide whether the player will pass their particular physical test or not. The doctor won't flunk him, but it's up to the team to either accept or avoid the trade.
There's a penalty flag back at the 25, another up at the 40-yard line.
Illegal contact on receiver number 13, Ottawa. Holding number 68, Ottawa. Offsetting penalties. That's 13, Hamilton. Illegal contact will do it over.
Hassan Bailey was the player who took Danny Barrett out of bounds, and Barrett had already committed to go out of bounds. Sometimes as an official you have to recognize that that's a little unnecessary on the defensive player's behalf and be willing to throw the flag in that situation, because you don't want to lose a quarterback, and the short stands that you have here in Ottawa, very easy to run a player up into that with an unnecessary injury.
First and 10 from the 35. Offsetting penalties. Eaglin charged with the interference for Hamilton. Holding penalty against Ottawa. The pass was intended out in the flat for Darren Joseph. It will be second and 10.
Covered by linebacker Hassan Bailey.
The offensive line for Ottawa has been doing a pretty decent job. That time, Danny Barrett got too much air under the ball. Good coverage by the Hamilton secondary. He really didn't have an open receiver, and he was trying to force that one more than get it to a point on the field.
Patrick goes out. Carter comes in as a sixth defensive back for Hamilton. O'Shea showing blitz. Barrett's pass incomplete, intended for Stephan Jones. He was covered by Gary Wilkerson. 5:19 remaining in the half. 18-4. Hamilton leads Ottawa. A victory for Hamilton would move them into a tie for fourth place in the East with the Ottawa Rough Riders. Big Jim Mills, a little slow in getting up, and he is limping off to the sidelines. Barrett and Mills, of course, were teammates with the BC Lions. And Barrett realizes the value of his big offensive tackle. He wants to make sure he's okay.
Very critical to keep those guys healthy and happy, because they can make their career long or short.
Two onside people for this third down punt by Terry Baker. Adrian Smith takes it at the 35-yard line. And the tackle is made by Brian Bonner. That was a 40-yard punt, 4 yards on the return.
Second only to Shreveport in points against. And Urban Bowman, their defensive coordinator, told us yesterday one of the reasons for it may have been the Riders' win over Shreveport in week 1. Ottawa won at 40-10. Bowman says the Pirates were so awful in that game that it gave the Riders a false impression as to how good they are on defense. Says the players suffered from it for the first half of the season. So there you have it, Don. The perils of victory in the CFL and how the Riders have struggled to overcome that opening week win.
And as defensive coordinator and assistant head coach, Urban Bowman opted for a sixth defensive back with Horace Brooks into the ball game, replacing Len Johnson. And on second and 6, the Rough Riders will stay with 6 DBs. 4:23 remaining in the first half. Draw play with John Hood, and he got tangled up right at the line of scrimmage with one of his own men. I think he ran into Val St. Germain, and then Derek McCready finished the job.
Well, back to that comment that Scott was making about they got lulled into a false sense of confidence defensively about how good they may be. The key is you have to strap it up every week and come out ready to play. You can't sit back and worry about what happened last week or what's going to happen in the week to come. Is like last week. Ottawa couldn't package up any of those 54 points. They only have 4 thus far in the game, and they'd like to have a few more of them right now on the scoreboard.
Thunder Paul Osbaldiston's wondering what kind of mystery tour he might experience on this third down snap. This one comes back cleanly, and the kick bounces away from Nick Mazzoli. It actually hit the official, the back judge, Turk Turtani, and it bounced off his back, and Mazzoli never had a chance to play it, but it would have gone out of bounds anyway.
So you said hit the back judge on the back, and Mazzoli never had a chance. Okay.
Now Turk fouled things up for Nick. 3:54 remaining in the half. The Rough Riders are back at their own 26-yard line.
Don, even though Hamilton hasn't gotten anything out of their past couple of drives, I've really been impressed with the way they've utilized the various keys of their offense. They've used the running game, mixing it with the passing game, and not just utilizing one receiver. The peripheral vision of Tim Rosenball tonight has been very keen in their success.
Campbell finds a hole, and he picks up 12 yards, stopped by the safety, Todd Wiseman.
Joe Campbell, one of the many success stories at tailback this season for the Ottawa Rough Riders. That time did a fine job on the search play, getting the ball deep in the backfield from quarterback Danny Barrett, able to read his blockers up front, weave through before being dropped by safety Todd Wiseman at the 38-yard line.
First and 10 from the 37-yard line. Fake inside. Barrett sidearms the pass to Fred Ward. Can't make the catch, and Ward was hit hard right on the sidelines by Greg Eaglin. And James, you talked about the short sideline area. And Fred Ward was knocked off balance and right into the wall.
Well, it's very short. It's only about 6 yards once you step across that hash mark on the short side of the field here in Ottawa, and it's very tough for the players to slow down when you're running full speed. You get a receiver like Fred Ward who runs about a 4.40, and he can run into that wall very easily.
2:57 the time remaining in the first half here at Frank Fire Stadium, and the Hamilton Ticats lead by 14 points. We saw Jim Mills limping off the last time Ottawa had the ball, and he remains on the sidelines. That means that Bruce Beaton has gone to right offensive tackle. Irv Damon has gone to right offensive guard. Nick Benjamin remains at center, and Darren Joseph makes the catch for a first down. Brought down by Todd Wiseman. An 18-yard pickup. When an offensive lineman goes down, as Jim Mills did, that usually results in a number of changes along the O-line.
A number of critical changes, and with the Hamilton defense trying to account for the changes in the offensive line, they blew the coverage in the secondary. The linebacker did not pick up Joseph as he came out of the backfield, and that time he was able to pick up a big gain down to the Ticats 54-yard line.
We mentioned at the start that Irv Damon had a hamstring pull, and that was the reason that Nick Benjamin started the game at center, but now Damon is pressed into service as Mills has been injured. Adrian Smith with an excellent move to knock the ball away from Stephan Jones. It will be second and 10, 2:35 remaining in the first half.
Stephan Jones, that time you'll watch him once he comes out of his route, he'll only sit. Adrian Smith did the thing. He kept working back through the receiver. Jones has to help his quarterback Danny Barrett out by coming back further to the football. He was very fortunate that Smith couldn't pick that one off because he had a lot of pay dirt in front of him if he had him.
This time Jones lines up wide left. Mazzoli comes out to the right. Barrett is flushed out of the pocket. He throws over the middle and it's intercepted. Picked off by Don Odegaard. That was not a good throw by Danny Barrett. There were just too many black and gold jerseys in the vicinity.
Very poor decision by quarterback Danny Barrett. We saw a shot of Coach Adam Reeder right there. Don Odegaard coming across from his halfback position. You'll see Danny Barrett. He thinks he gets outside of Tim Cofield, but with the speed of Cofield, he's able to recover. He throws back across his body. Odegaard is coming across the field in front of Ward and makes the interception. You'll watch Tim Cofield relentless in his pressure on quarterback Danny Barrett. He wasn't going to let him go after chasing him that far.
First and 10 Hamilton. They are at their own 40-yard line. 3 turnovers tonight by the Rough Riders. Rosenbaugh is going deep down the sidelines, incomplete. He was looking for Calvin Means, and there's a penalty flag. Andre Francis was defending against Calvin Means, and it looks as though the Ottawa cornerback is going to be penalized.
Well, it seems almost like the officials in the CFL have a vendetta against Andre Francis out at cornerback because you're entitled to your position on the field when you're a defender. That time, Andre Francis had inside position on the receiver, would not allow him back inside, and the official threw the flag.
Forward pass interference. Ottawa number 1, 10-yard penalty, first down.
I don't understand the 10-yard penalty. The play takes place 40 yards downfield. Andre Francis has perfect inside position. He's entitled to that position on the field. Means is trying to fight back through him, Andre DeFrancis did nothing wrong, but yet he was victimized with a penalty.
Kropke goes out. Brooks is in. The handoff to John Hood, and he'll get 6. Stopped by David Benefield.
Well, Rosenbaugh is very critical for him right now not to make an error. He wants to be able to pick up this first down. He needs 4 yards. Come with a little short underneath pass would be very safe, or a little flare out the flat, possibly to Lee Knight. He hasn't utilized him in some time, so the defense might have forgot about him over the course of time here in the first half.
Early in the game, he went to Lee Knight on a screen pass. 2nd and 4. It was intended for Hill, and he had Gary Lewis all over him.
Danny Barrett and Adam Rita discussing things on that last series. Adams is bringing Danny over. This is something they do that's quite uncommon with other coaches and quarterbacks in the CFL. He is trying to calm Danny down, not to let him get excited, trying to get him to recognize some things defensively, and hopefully when he comes out in that next series that he's more relaxed on and he's not feeling a lot of pressure.
For a moment, I thought we had a guy over in the bench who had bought a ticket and was sitting there. Adam Rita looked so relaxed.
Well, if he hadn't ate my bag of popcorn, we might have joined him.
I'm a little disappointed you only bought 1.
Oh, okay.
Nick Mazzoli on the punt return. And Mazzoli is forced out of bounds at the 22-yard line by Wally Zatilny. 1:46 is the time remaining in the first half.
You know, Ottawa's been getting closer and closer, Don, to Paul Osbaldiston on his punt. I think they saw some things last week in the game against Toronto where Toronto was able to block one of Osbaldiston's punts and take it in and get some points out of it. And Coach Daryl Patterson, the specialty team coach for the Ottawa Rough Riders, had been talking to him prior to the game. You'll see the pressure come up the middle right here. Andrew Murray along with Brooks getting very close there. And Brooks, if he had laid out, he would have blocked that one. You can't come in there with alligator arms if you're on the block team. You got to sacrifice your body for the team, and Brooks didn't do it.
1st and 10, Ottawa. The Rough Riders are at their own 22. They trail by 14 points. They were down 14-0 early in the ball game. Intended for Ellingson, and it bounced in front of him. It will be 2nd and 10. You know, Barrett doesn't have great numbers this year. He has only completed 50.4% of his passes, the 2nd worst record of any starting quarterback this year in the CFL. And his touchdown to interception ratio this year, 13 touchdowns and 13 interceptions. Usually it's been much higher in a touchdown to interception ratio. He, in the past, has not thrown many interceptions. Darren Joseph trying to get outside, and he twists and turns up to about the 28-yard line, stopped there by Patrick.
Well, Danny has been pressing tonight here in the first half at quarterback. He just doesn't seem that comfortable in the pocket. He has tried a few different things. That last pass he threw, he skipped it to James Ellingson. Normally a pass is very easy for a quarterback with his arm strength to complete, and he couldn't get it there. And hopefully he can regroup at halftime in the locker room, go over some things with the offensive coaches, and get on track.
Well, you saw Jim Mills with an ice pack on the right calf, which isn't a good sign for the Ottawa Rough Riders.
But it's a better sign, Don, than seeing it up on the knee joint.
Zatilny takes the 3rd down punt at the 50-yard line. It draws a penalty flag. It looks as though it will be a 5-yard sentence against the Ottawa Rough Riders for being inside that 5-yard area. Let's go down to Scott.
Well, Don, actually the problem with Jim Mills is a sprained left knee, and they say he's doubtful now for the second half. But I think back to last week when we had Ottawa defensive back Corey Dowden out of the game with a suspected broken ankle in the first half, and they poured holy water on his ankle or something like that in the dressing room at halftime, and he came back to play the second half. Jim Mills would welcome the same kind of solution to his problem that he could get it.
Well, it's a little different when you're one of those small guys that play that skill position. You get those big offensive linemen and you play with a lot of braces. Jim Mills has had quite a few knee problems throughout his career, and sometimes you have to evaluate whether it's worth it or not to risk the rest of the season over a second half of a football game.
In 90 and 91, Mills was the top lineman in the CFL. He signed in June as a free agent. Rosenbaugh drills it to Calvin Means. First down at the 25. Boy, when Winfield returns to the lineup of the Hamilton Ticats, they've got a couple of talented people at the wideout position.
Well, it's going to be a tough decision to get him back in the lineup. You see Means here working on a crossing route. There's no safety. Remy Trudell is late getting there. He just wasn't there. But Tim Rosenbaugh has been very fortunate to have Calvin Means as his primary target because he's been able to deliver in the 3 games that he's been a Ticat.
Remy Trudell is the injured Ottawa Rough Rider with 1:11 remaining in the half. And the Ticats in position to add to their 14-point lead. Andrew Thomas will come into the ball game replacing Remy Trudell. One of the plans tonight defensively for the Ottawa Rough Riders was to blitz Remy Trudell some. So far in the first half, they haven't gone to that plan of defense.
Well, one of the things that has plagued the Ottawa Rough Riders this year has been the injury bug. They've lost quite a few key players throughout courses of the season going on the injured reserve list, and Remy Trudell and Jim Mills have gone down and needed some help off the field here in the first half. That's one of the things that has really hurt this team. 21 of the 37 players that dressed out tonight were not Ottawa Rough Riders last year. 25 guys that they have on the entire roster, 4 on the reserve, were not Ottawa Rough Riders last year.
First and 10. Rosenbaugh throws over the middle. It was intended for a hill, knocked away by Young. And we apologize for the temporary video problems we just experienced. It looks as though those have been corrected. Andrew Thomas in the ball game replacing Remy Trudell, a much-traveled defensive back. He was initially drafted by Saskatchewan. He went to Winnipeg, Toronto, and BC before finding employment here in Ottawa. He's traveled much the same path as you, James.
Yeah, but did he have a frequent flyer number, though?
54 seconds remaining in the half. Rosenbaugh for Lonsdale Hill. He was being covered by Brett Young, and Brian Bonner was the man who was in the face of the Hamilton quarterback. But he did get the throw away, and Lonsdale Hill down at the goal line just got turned around and couldn't make the catch.
Well, Tim Rosenbaugh is starting to feel the pressure of this Ottawa defense, and Lonsdale Hill got turned around at the last moment. Jerry Lewis inserted back into the lineup tonight and made the play. You see Rosenbaugh right there. Brian Bonner might not be the most athletic of the linebacking core, but he is the core. He is the leader. He is the guy who calls all the plays, and he makes sure that everyone is in the proper defensive alignment.
Osbaldiston's field goal attempt, it's good. 44 seconds remaining in the half, and the Ticats now have a 21-4 lead.
Don, this has been a surprising first half. Looking at what Hamilton had done in the last 6 contests, they've only averaged 22 points a game against this Ottawa Rough Rider football team. Yet thus far in the first half, they've come out and been able to produce 21 points on the scoreboard. Coach Doug Sutherland has to feel very at ease.
Who did you have coaching?
Who was it?
You mean Don Sutherland?
Don, I made a mistake. I've been calling you Don all night. Wait, Sudsy, let's go Sudsy, all right? We understand that. He has to feel very comfortable about what the productivity of his offense has been thus far in the first half, because that's where all the questions have been thrown. What are you going to do at quarterback? How are you going to get this team to score more points? He said, hey, give me a few games to get this under my belt, because I didn't have a preseason, I didn't have a training camp. Give me a chance to coach this team, get some of my thoughts and ideas in, and the team has been able to respond tonight here at Frank Clair Stadium.
He replaced John Gregory on the 12th of August, becoming the 15th head coach in the history of the Hamilton Ticat organization. Osbaldiston preparing to kick off following his successful field goal, and Campbell waits for it at the 17-yard line. Campbell picks up a couple of good blocks and brings it up to the 52. Let's go down to field level, and here's Scott.
All right, Don, an update in now from Memorial Stadium in Baltimore, where the CFLers are having some trouble trying to keep pace with the Sacramento Gold Miners. They've just begun the third quarter, and Sacramento leads by 9. Again, this game of importance to Winnipeg because the Bombers know that if Baltimore is able to pull it out, they'll have to beat Saskatchewan tomorrow in order to stay tied with Baltimore atop the CFL East.
Sacramento, Don, has probably been the most disappointing team in the CFL this year with all the promise they had the last 6 games closing out the season and the way they've struggled after winning 3 games in a row this season. You wonder what's the problem with that ball team.
And Saskatchewan will be interested in that result because the Rough Riders only lead Sacramento by 3 points in the battle for the final playoff position. Ward was the intended receiver. That's one he should have caught.
He let that one get to his body. He was looking at linebacker Michael O'Shea, who was coming over from the middle. Fred Ward didn't get his hands. He sees Michael O'Shea out of the corner, knows he's going to take a lick. Michael's not going to get off of him even if he drops the ball, so you might as well catch it.
I always admire those receivers who go inside to reach out for the ball, knowing that they're going to get hammered either the moment they receive it or even before they get to it. Pass is complete to the outside man, Stephan Jones. He's got a first down.
Danny Barrett looking up at the official. He felt that Michael O'Shea hit him well after he had delivered that football to Stephan Jones. You see Stephan driving off, still has the speed as an old man, as we'll call him, as a receiver there. Comes back. This time he works back to his quarterback. He gets the separation from the defensive back, Wilkerson, able to make the catch in front of Wilkerson. We'll see O'Shea comes in here. Flag could have been thrown in that situation. Danny Barrett had a valid complaint.
This time, Stephan Jones lines up wide to the right. 26 seconds remaining in the half. Jones will try and go get it. It's picked off, but he was out of bounds. Smith running stride for stride down the sidelines with Stephan Jones. And although he made the interception, he had already stepped out of bounds.
Well, Danny Barrett was trying to get it all instead of trying to pick up maybe 7 to 10 yards on that play, get himself another opportunity for the end zone. Would see Adrian Smith right here with great inside position on Stephan Jones, and both players were out of bounds, but he utilized the sideline as a second defender, not allowing Jones room to work with.
Adrian Smith joined the Hamilton Ticats 4 games back. He made a CFL debut against Shreveport. Danny Barrett going for Fred Ward. He's got it down to the 4. And there's still plenty of time remaining. 12 seconds on the clock. Barrett will have 2 plays. That's a 40-yard gain. Barrett to Fred Ward.
And Danny Barrett is hurt a little bit. His left hand, he took a shot, but watch Freddie Ward get a inside release on Greg Eaglin, and he just runs a straight seam route. He blows past him. Safety Todd Wiseman slowed up on the play, didn't come across properly, and let him catch the ball freely. Watch Danny Barrett. He'll take a shot on his left hand right here by Michael O'Shea, the linebacker, and he gets up grasping his left hand. He's in somewhat discomfort, but he's going to go in and try to get these points on the scoreboard nevertheless.
A timeout has been called by the Ottawa Rough Riders. Adam Rita, sensing perhaps that his quarterback may have been shaken up in the play, and also wanting to settle him down and give him an opportunity to determine what play he's going to call on 1st and goal from the 5 with 12 seconds remaining.
Well, Don, you got 2 shots basically here, and you want to go into the end zone on both of them. Maybe a quick slant call. Freddie Ward has had some success, but the other receivers, Stephan Jones has been there. Nick Mazzoli has caught everything that you're thrown at him tonight.
1st and goal. The clock will not start until the ball is snapped. Barrett might even run this one if he can't find a receiver. He's going to the end zone and throwing it through the end zone with 7 seconds remaining.
That play was designed for a quick shot. The secondary for Hamilton rolled up into a man coverage, didn't stay back into that soft zone, throw it away, trying to conserve the clock, get 2 plays out of it, Don.
He'll have to get this one away quickly with only 7 seconds remaining. But again, the clock won't start until the ball is snapped.
Well, the key to this is going to be the formation that they come out. He has to be able to put receivers in position to look for the hot. If he's not looking for the hot, then he's going to have to throw it away again because he's not going to have time to run with it personally and save time to line up for a field goal.
It's incomplete, beyond the reach of Campbell. 4 seconds remaining. And the Rough Riders will be forced to settle for a field goal.
Quite disappointing to come out of this with a field goal, but it's still a plus to come out of it with points, and that's the key. You have to get some points, go into the locker room at halftime with some momentum to give the team something to build on to come back for that second half, and hopefully they can execute a little better in the second half.
Somewhat demoralizing for the Rough Riders in that they had a first down at the 5-yard line, and now are forced to settle for a Terry Baker field goal attempt from the 12. And it is good with still 1 second remaining in the first half. 21-7, the Hamilton Ticats lead. There's also a penalty flag on the play.
But even if you take the penalty, it looks like it might be against Ottawa here, a little holding. Do you want to take it if you're Hamilton, force them to go for it again? Looks like that's what they're going to do.
Ottawa right end holding, 10-yard penalty, third down repeated.
Dean Noel seems to be the culprit on that play. He's the right end, the wing man. This should be an easy chip shot once again for Terry Baker, who was the CFL's leading scorer coming into tonight's contest with 114 points. He's added 4 more and trying to get 3 on this kick.
A 22-yard field goal attempt. And this one is good. And the half comes to an end with the Hamilton Ticats leading by 14 points. Scott?
The Ticats know they're not going to go far in the CFL without scoring touchdowns, and their production in the first half of this one increased significantly. Hamilton leads 21-7. Hamilton had completed the first half, and the Cats lead by 14. Now we welcome you to Live at the Half. It's probably true the caliber of quarterbacking in the CFL has never been better than it's been for the last few years. When the experts talk about the good ones, they don't often mention Danny Barrett. That's an oversight, one that Barrett is used to. He's also used to getting no respect.
What you want, baby, I got. What you need, you know I got.
We call him Rodney Dangerfield. I truly believe this is the year that the respect has come coming here and being in this organization has really made me feel good.
R-E-S-E-C-T, find out what it means to me. R-E-S-E-C-T, think F-C-C-T. Sock it to me, 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 sock it to me.
By his own admission, Danny Barrett doesn't have the flash of a lot of quarterbacks.
I'm a blue-collar type quarterback that just comes in whatever it takes to get the job done. And, you know, sometimes that's not good enough for other people, and but that won't change me and my style. You know, I'll go out and do whatever's asked.
The Toronto side or the Edmonton side will be the scene of wild celebration. Here's Barrett.
In '87, he almost won it all for the Argos, and his reward?
I was happy to be going back to Calgary because that's where my career started.
The Argos gave Barrett to Calgary. The Stamps were the team that tried to turn him into a slot back early in his CFL career, but in '91, Barrett almost quarterbacked Calgary to the Grey Cup. And his reward?
Shipped off to BC.
Where he was under enormous pressure to make people forget about Doug Flutie. But Lions fans never truly warmed to Barrett. Even though at BC Place, he played one of the most brilliant games in CFL history. The week after his brother died tragically in Florida, Barrett set a then CFL passing record, over 600 yards in one game. And he required all his intestinal fortitude to do it.
It was tough because, you know, he was my older brother, and I looked up to him for a lot of guidance. He taught me a lot about the game. And I can just remember that night and just coming out of the locker room, the guy said, "Hey, let's win for your brother." And that meant a lot to me.
Gotta go get it back. Surely respect should finally have been his. But again.
Shipped again to Ottawa, you know.
Now Barrett is with a coach who truly respects him. Adam Rita says he'll go to war any day with Danny Barrett. And Barrett hopes his personal 11-year tour of the Canadian Football League is at long last over.
I really believe so. I'm hoping so anyway. I don't feel like moving my family around anymore. They really treated me well here. The city has welcomed me here. The management, coaching staff is ideal. I like it here, and I think this is it. And I'd like for it to end in a Grey Cup championship.
Here's Ottawa head coach Adam Rita, who makes no secret of the respect he has for Danny Barrett. What do you think of your quarterback in the first half?
Well, I think that he's hanging in there. He's taking some shots that basically they shouldn't let go, but that's the way the game goes. But we're hurting a little bit at right tackle. Mills is out probably for a while, so we're going to have to make some adjustments there and see what we can do.
Adam, I know when you face a struggling team like Hamilton, there's always a fear they're going to break it open. Are you surprised with the way they played in the first half?
No, I'm not. They play good defense, and they're moving the ball on offense, but we've kind of settled down on defense, so hopefully we can get a turnover or make something happen in the second half.
Thanks for your time, Adam.
Thank you.
Adam Rita, head coach of the Ottawa Rough Riders, who did not enjoy much about home field advantage through 30 minutes of this one. Live at the half will continue with Hamilton leading by 14. Underneath the stands at Frank Clair Stadium is the Civic Center, where the Ottawa Senators played an NHL preseason game this afternoon and lost to the Florida Panthers. Tonight on the turf, the Riders trail 21-7. In Baltimore at last word, the CFLers trailed Sacramento by 9 in the third quarter. Should Baltimore pull it out, though, there'll be some pressure on the Bombers in Winnipeg tomorrow. They'd have to beat Saskatchewan in the completion of their home-and-home series in order to stay tied for first in the East Division. Let's go to Winnipeg now and have Mark Lee set the scene for the return match of Winnipeg and Saskatchewan tomorrow.
It's hot, hazy, and humid as summer lingers on the prairies. Pleasant weather for Fan Appreciation Day in Winnipeg on this Hall of Fame weekend. The Bombers basking in the adulation of their fans, no doubt thinking, though, about the rematch. On Labor Day weekend, Regina beat Winnipeg 41-32 in what was billed as the Battle of the Backup. Warren Jones versus Keith McCann. They're back again, and Warren, I guess it's really unfair to refer to you as a backup because you've really secured the #1 quarterbacking job with Saskatchewan.
Well, I don't know how to, answer that, if it was a battle of the backup or whatever, but, I was just, was given an opportunity. You want to take the opportunity and run with it, and it's good.
Can you talk a bit about this rivalry? You had a sellout last weekend in Regina. They're expecting a sellout again this weekend in Winnipeg. These two teams really seem to get up for these games, don't they?
Oh, yeah. We really do. Last week we had a good win in Regina, and this is a hard place to win in Winnipeg. And, I think they're the best team in the East, and we have our work cut out for us, and I think we have to, play our best ball to have a chance to win here.
Going to see more of those draw plays that seem to give you big yards against the Bombers?
Oh, yeah, we're gonna run it until they stop it, and then once they stop it, then we got to go to something else.
All right, good luck.
All right, thank you.
Warren Jones versus Keith McCann in the West, where CFL football is most appreciated. The Riders and Bombers at 1 Eastern. Right now, let's send it back to Scott Oak in Ottawa.
Okay, Mark, and the telecast of the Bombers and Riders from Winnipeg Stadium tomorrow completes our CFL on CBC weekend doubleheader. And here in Ottawa, Don, how about Tim Rosenbaugh's performance in the first half? Looks like he may be starting to figure out this Canadian game.
Yes, he might well be figuring it out, Scott. Somewhat maligned in previous games. Rosenbaugh, the first time he got his hands on the football tonight, James, put together a 5-minute touchdown drive, resulting in an end zone toss to Calvin Means.
Very critical for Tim Rosenbaugh to get off to a good start early tonight, and he did. Calvin Means, we'll see him right here working against Andre Francis. He'll break it off. Andre is right there. He comes back to his quarterback, and he makes a great reception for the touchdown.
Now, the next time they had the ball, Rosenbaugh used a great fake to hit Kenneth Rare for 62 yards.
Well, he came with the reverse fake to McKay, and Kenneth Rare kept running on the play. You saw McKay as he came out of the picture back towards the quarterback. The secondary blew the coverage. Rare kept running. He was right down the sideline. Big plays early in the first quarter. They scored 2 touchdowns. That's more than they've been scoring in their regular games all year.
Ottawa tried a little razzle-dazzle in the first quarter, but it backfired.
It did. Greg Eaglin came through. When they lined up for a field goal, they were only 7 yards back, and when you're going to punt the ball, you have to be the 15. That time he got a free run, got the block on the Baker punt. Hamilton once again had the ball in great field position, Don.
But the Ottawa Rough Riders, as they have demonstrated a couple of times this season, are capable of scoring a lot of points. They had 53 against Hamilton back in July. They had 54 last week against Las Vegas, so I wouldn't say this game is over yet.
Well, I wouldn't say it's over by CFL standards. It's going to be very critical that they can execute once they get the ball and not make the mistakes that they did in the first half. And when they get a chance and get in scoring range, they're going to have to be able to punch it in.
The Ticats lead by 14. Let's go down to Scott.
Okay, Don, we find the Ticats in unfamiliar territory. They're leading at halftime. Is it a luxury they can afford? We should know in 30 more minutes of football.
We're ready for the start of the second half here at Frank Clair Stadium. Paul Osbaldiston kicking off to Fred Ward. Actually, Campbell comes over to take it. And Campbell brings it back out to the 37-yard line. And that's where Ottawa will scrimmage first and 10. A 22-yard return by Campbell. And Jim Mills has not come back in the field for the start of this second half, so that means that the changes that the Rough Riders were forced to employ in the first half when he went down remain in effect. Bruce Beaton moves to tackle. Herb Damon comes in to guard, replacing Beaton, and Nick Benjamin remains at center. Fred Ward can't make the catch. He got turned around by Greg Egan, but the pass was over his head. Barrett has not had a good opening half here at Frank Clair Stadium. He's managed to complete just 9 of them, and his favorite target as far as yardage is concerned has been Fred Ward. The big play, a 40-yarder late in the second half, but they weren't able to finish the drive as they stalled at the 5-yard line. Second and 10. Barrett 9 of 22. Incomplete, intended for Campbell, covered by Don Odegaard. And Barrett's numbers continue to worsen. He's now 9 for 23.
Well, that's one he just hung up there, Don, when he let it go, and hoping that the receiver Campbell could run underneath it. He was caught with Don Odegaard one-on-one. Odegaard was waving his arms. He didn't turn around and face. Might have been a little face guarding right there. Wasn't a flag thrown, and Campbell jumped up complaining, but Baker's in the punt once again.
Andrew Thomas is onside for this third down punt by Terry Baker. But it's kicked to the other side of the field. Wally Zatilli having problems handling it, but he's able to knock it out of bounds at the 39-yard line. You know, we talked about Nick Mazzoli having a broken thumb. Wally Zatilli has a broken finger. You see in his left hand, his ring finger is taped to his middle finger. He broke his finger in practice. He was saying, guys have always kidded me about catching all the passes on my chest. He said, I went to catch a pass in a workout, caught it on the tip of my finger, and broke my ring finger on my left hand.
Well, he thought he wasn't as nimble as he thought he was. Tim Rosenbaugh, let's see if he can get off to the start in the second half as he did in the first time.
Throwing that wide out can sometimes be dangerous, but he got it to Lonzel Hill. Gary Lewis made the tackle.
Gary Lewis was right on top of Lonzel Hill as he came out of his break, and Tim Rosenbaugh didn't get that good of a throw off, but it got there prior to Gary Lewis. Could have been picked off.
When you throw from the hash mark to the far side, you've got to have a strong arm because that's a 41-yard toss.
There's only been one quarterback in the CFL, and that was Dieter Brock, who could make that throw consistently.
As they say, he could throw it through a car wash without getting the ball wet.
Or maybe one lace.
Rosenbaugh was looking for McKay. McKay complaining that he was interfered with by Patrick Burke. Jesse Small was pressuring Rosenbaugh, forcing him to hurry the throw. Patrick Burke is an interesting story. Last year, he played as a starting cornerback. The first time since Wayne Tosh was a starting cornerback with Ottawa as a Canadian started at a cornerback position.
Well, he was able to fill that, and he was runner-up for the Eastern Conference All-Rookie behind Michael O'Shea, but we saw the pressure coming from Jesse Small and Derek McCready on Tim Rosenbaugh, and that was the difference that Ottawa was not able to give the pressure in the first half.
Mazzoli at the 35. Nowhere to go. The ball comes loose. A 31-yard kick, but I believe, even though O'Shea hasn't, they ruled that the play had been whistled dead. Scott?
Well, Don, here's the status of rider O-lineman Jim Mills. It's a partial tear of the inside ligament on his left knee, so he's out for at least a month. If there's any good news, it's this. He will not require surgery. Mills did say to me that he knew it was bad when he went down because he felt a pop. Mind you, he said that surprised him because he said he's had enough trouble with his knees that he didn't think there was anything left in there to pop, but that's the situation. He's out for about a month.
When you plant on artificial turf, and I think you can probably speak on this better than I, James, there isn't much give in a knee. Campbell is the man who tried to turn the corner, stopped after about 5 yards by Hassan Bailey.
And the thing with offensive linemen, Don, is that most of the time they're engaged with the defensive lineman. And with Jim Mills, when he went down, there was a lineman that fell across the back of his leg that caused the twisting in the knee. And even with the support of the braces, it's not always enough.
Hassan Bailey is the injured Hamilton Ticat.
Right at the end of the play, when Hassan Bailey had came in on the tackle, he was rolling up, and one of his teammates came up, and as you'll see right here, watch as he makes the tackle. Watch one of the defenders right here come across the top and make that Nick Benjamin, gets him in the back of the head, and that's 290 pounds of man hitting you in the back of the head.
12:07 is the time remaining in the third quarter. The score, 21-7, Hamilton. Welcome back to Frank Clair Stadium, where the Ticats lead 21-7. These teams last met on July the 28th at Ivor Wynn Stadium. John Moten was injured in that game, and he is returning to the lineup tonight. And with Moten in the lineup and Hassan Bailey injured, Moten, who has been playing a down lineman position, can drop back to Bailey's linebacking position. Greg Carter comes into the ball game as a sixth defensive back for the Ticats. Intended for Stephan Jones, and the Rough Riders are forced to kick it away. Barrett is really struggling with his passing game tonight.
Well, maybe what they need to do offensively is go back and readjust their offense and get out of those 16 to 17-yard passes and look more for the 7 to 8 yard, the medium range passes, trying to develop some confidence with Danny Barrett. We'll see John Moten right here working against Mike Graybill on a twist, with Philbrick coming around to the outside, but that inside of that offensive line is doing a fine job with Giaskis and Benjamin right there in the middle.
This time they don't have Thomas in an onside position. Baker with his best kick of the night, fielded by Adrian Smith. He broke a couple of tackles. There's a penalty flag in the vicinity of midfield. Meroff was there to make the tackle for Ottawa. That was a 42-yard kick, a 10-yard return.
Well, it looked like it's going to go against Hamilton. We'll possibly get holding right here.
Holding. Hamilton, number 10 on the return. 10-yard penalty. First down.
Now, they identified Todd Dillon as the man guilty of holding. I don't think Dillon was out there in the special team.
Don, I'll even go along with you on that one, because I know Todd personally, and he is not going to go out and block anybody. Hold or not. He might hold on an extra point or a field goal attempt, but not on a special team.
Rosenbaugh looked very sharp in the first two offensive possessions of the Ticats in tonight's football game, and that right now is the difference. 21-7 the score, and John Hood is going nowhere, stopped right at the line of scrimmage. Alfred Smith and Derek McCready combined to bring him down. Remy Trudell shaken up earlier, and obviously he's back in the ball game. Number 24 for Ottawa. Hill, Evrare, and Means have been the favorite targets of Tim Rosenbaugh so far in the ball game.
Well, equal pass distribution, and that has been the key for Tim Rosenbaugh's success in the first half, is that he's been able to spread the wealth amongst his receiving corps.
Over the head of McKay. So it's 2 and out for the Hamilton Ticats, and the Rough Riders should get the ball back in pretty good field position.
You know, Don, the key in the first half is that Tim Rosenball was given time to throw the ball and find his receivers by his offensive line. In the second half, thus far, he hasn't had that luxury. Tim Rosenball has had the happy feet in the pocket. He hasn't been able to get set and deliver the football with any authority. And that time, you saw the ball go high because he was juggling his feet in the backfield.
Mazzoli is standing at midfield, awaiting this third down punt by Paul Osbaldiston. Last week, Toronto was able to block a punt, and Osbaldiston had to field a low snap again, and he was fortunate in getting the kick away. Mazzoli takes the ball at midfield. There's a penalty flag. A late penalty call, but will probably be no yards after a 38-yard kick. Scott?
Don, here's the latest from Memorial Stadium in Baltimore. Just starting the fourth quarter, Sacramento leading 20-14. A field goal by Donald Iguebique has pulled Baltimore to within 6. The Gold Miners have a pair of touchdowns from Troy Mills, and I think I mentioned this earlier, but it merits repeating. They were expecting 40,000 there tonight.
40,000
no yards,
tonight.
number 29, Hamilton. 5-yard penalty, first down.
And they've been drawing close to 40,000 a game in Baltimore. They had sellouts at McMahon Stadium in Calgary on Labor Day, at Taylor Field in Regina, 51,000 in Edmonton last night. And as Mark Lee reported at halftime, they're looking for a huge crowd at Winnipeg Stadium tomorrow for the rematch between Winnipeg and Saskatchewan. Campbell met right at the line of scrimmage and driven back. Rogers is the man who made the initial contact.
Along with Greg Patrick from his linebacker position. Reggie Rogers, an interesting story, came in last year to Hamilton. They were expecting big things from him. He had a knee injury after the 4th game. They didn't feel they got the right diagnosis. They ended up losing him for the season. He came back this year with much promise. He hasn't been able to deliver consistently like they would like, and they're hoping that in the second half of the season that he's able to come into his own as a CFL defensive lineman.
2nd and 8. Moten coming from the backside. Pass complete to Stephan Jones. He's forced out of bounds by the safety Todd Weisman at the 5. A 46-yard gain. Barrett to Stephan Jones, and he got it away just in time as Moten was coming from his linebacking position.
The key, as you spoke about, Stephan Jones able to get away from Gary Wilkinson. Your little spin move right there, little arm over. Looked like he worked with the defensive line during the week. Stephan Jones still possesses that great speed to get behind secondary. Greg Moten bringing the heat on Danny Barrett. Danny standing in the pocket, being patient, delivering a strike.
1st and goal from the 5. Campbell stopped by Rogers. Michael O'Shea, the middle linebacker, also came in to lend a hand. As this season has progressed, Rogers has become more dominant at that defensive tackle position.
Well, you know, Hamilton started out this season with 2 300-pound defensive tackles, Reggie Rogers and Jeff Fields, who's recently departed for Toronto in that trade for Reggie Slack. And now the onus is on Reggie Rogers to step up and be the man in the middle. And you've seen on the last 2 running plays that he's exerted himself and made the tackle.
Campbell lost a yard at his 2nd and goal from the 6. Barrett for Ward, and Ward did not make the catch at the goal line. Weisman and Odegaard knocked it away. Twice now, Adam Rita has seen his team down at the 5-yard line and unable to punch it in.
Well, good defense that time by the Hamilton defenders. Odegaard was the primary cover, but watch Patrick. Greg Patrick come over from the linebacker and strip him of the ball at the last moment right there. Got that left hand in there on Ward and stripped him of the football. Nice play by the rookie linebacker, flowing over, helping with the double coverage.
This will be a 13-yard field goal attempt for Terry Baker with 7:48 remaining in the 3rd quarter. And it's now an 11-point game. Ticats leading. Another and Adam Rita were two of the highly rated assistant coaches in the CFL last year. Sutherland with Calgary, Rita with Edmonton. Both applied for the head coaching vacancy in Ottawa. Rita got the job. Sutherland went to Hamilton as an assistant coach, but now he's the head coach, taking over from John Gregory on the 12th of August. The pass is complete for a first down to Calvin Means. He made the catch in front of Andre Francis for a 15-yard pickup. 7:19 remaining in the third quarter. First and 10 now. The Ticats at their own 50-yard line. Horace Brooks comes into the ball game as an extra back with Len Johnson going out. Ottawa anticipating an obvious passing situation, and it is, and it's complete to Hill, and Hill steps out of bounds. It looks about a yard short of a first down.
You know, Rosenbaugh has seemed to get into a low here, Don, as we've gotten out of the first quarter, the second quarter now rolling into the second half, and that time finding Hill out in the flats and getting close to a first down, but now he has to be able to move it in and get the first down out of it to keep this drive alive, because he hasn't been able to sustain anything as of late.
Means goes wide right. Short yardage unit is in there for the Ticats. And Hood drives off tackle to the 49, stopped there by Smith. Smith has been a busy man tonight for the Ottawa Rough Riders. He has made 5 tackles.
You see right here the surge of that Ottawa offensive line, and you'll see Smith, the linebacker from Ottawa, come up to fill the hole on Hood. You know, Smith is a very interesting story, Don. When he came out of junior college, he was the most highly recruited player at a JC level 5 years ago. He went to the University of Florida. His first spring practice there, he broke his neck. He spent 4 years at the University of Florida, ended up getting his degree, but he could never pass the team's physical because of the liability factor. Last spring, McCarthy, the general manager, director of player personnel for Ottawa, was in Orlando. Smith got in touch with him, asked could he come down and get a tryout. Came in, ran a high 4.7 on tall grass. McCarthy liked what he saw. Mike brought him in training camp, and he has earned a position here on the team with the Ottawa Rough Riders and been one of their more consistent players defensively this season.
Well, they had to replace some people at linebacker during the off-season, and it looks as though Smith and Jesse Small have stepped in to those two positions, doing a fine job. The injured player is Len Johnson. He goes in and out of the lineup in passing situations. Horace Brooks usually comes in as a 6th defensive back, and Johnson goes out. Now Johnson is going to be forced out of the ball game with an injury, and he appears to be in a fair bit of pain.
Look like it might be a lower leg. Look like his right leg that he can't put much pressure on right there. And they've had the injury to Jim Mills earlier. Now Leonard Johnson going off the field in some discomfort. Those big guys generally have a lot more exposure in the leg area. And we'll see right here, Leonard Johnson is right on the nose, right in the middle of your screen, and he gets high on it right here. And you'll see that leg get planted, and we'll get a better look at it as it rolls along right here. He gets 68. Scott Douglas rolls up on the back of his leg, and that's the same thing that happened to Jim Mills.
Handoff to Hood, and Hood gallops down to the 41, tackled there by Jesse Small.
And Hood is one of those players who needed to arrive tonight. Tim Rosenbaugh started out the game very well, but the running game for Hamilton most of the year has been rather lackluster. They started off with Bruce Perkins. They went to John Hood, and Hood was the speedier of the two backs, and they've been hoping that he'll show some promise and break into that big game, possibly get 100 yards some night.
He missed the first 2 games of the season, made his debut this year against the BC Lions on the 21st of July. Rosenbaugh is thrown out of bounds, and that draws a penalty flag. Smith is guilty. That might be a face mask violation.
He got up high on Rosenbaugh, got that hand wrapped around the face mask. He had enough speed to run Rosenbaugh down. You'll see right here, watch the right hand as he goes up around the headgear. He gets a clear grab of the face mask. The official had a great view on it, threw the flag, And it was nice to see that right there because you want to protect those quarterbacks, and the linebacker, he didn't need to go that high. He could have just wrapped him up and guided him out of bounds.
Major foul, grabbing the face mask, number 49, Ottawa. First down.
You know, it's not just protecting a quarterback, a marquee player, but wide receiver, running back, whatever. You don't want to be grabbing that face mask because you can cause the neck injuries. Just got through speaking about the neck injury of Smith when he was in college, and same type of thing can occur twisting a head around too rapidly.
First and 10, handoff inside, and John Hood opts to take it outside, and he'll get a first down, or at least be very close to it. And now there's some extracurricular pushing and shoving, and it involves Peter Giftopoulos. Patrick Burke was also involved.
The key to this play was the offensive line. We look here, we're going to get Hood, but watch here with St. Germain and the rest of the offensive line. They're going to cave all this down. Hood's going to come around the corner. He's going to break free and pick up the yardage right here. Look at that. You get the pull of the offensive line. He breaks it outside. He turns it up, and he's able to get down inside the 20.
First and 10. The ball between the 18 and the 19. It's Hood again, and this time he's going to be dropped for about a loss, or for a loss of about 1.5 yards by John Kropke.
John Kropke, one of the holdovers from the last regime here in Ottawa, has been a very consistent player for the Ottawa Rough Riders. That time got the good penetration right up the middle as Hood took the handoff, dropped him in his tracks.
Second and 11. 4:12 is the time remaining in the third quarter. 21-10, Hamilton leads Ottawa. Oh, that one was dangerously close to being picked off by Horace Brooks. And I think there's going to be a penalty flag thrown against Smith on a late hit on Tim Rosenbach.
Alfred Smith is making some untimely, poor mistakes right now for this Ottawa Rough Rider defense. Just when they have Hamilton where they stopped them on a drive, you get Smith coming in about 3 strides late and roughs the quarterback, and they're going to get the automatic first down on this situation. Right here, that's a very tough call right there. He really didn't hit him that hard. I'll have to go along with Smith on that situation. All he did was put his hands in his chest, and the ambulance are coming up, aren't they?
But he could have avoided contact altogether.
Sometimes you're going to run into people just walking through doorways. It's like being in an elevator. You look the wrong direction and you make contact.
Glenn Kulka comes into the ball game now, and Brooks goes out. Kulka has replaced Johnson. Kulka has been alternating with McCready at nose tackle, but now Kulka goes to the defensive end position. Second and about 2. John Hood struggling, trying to get the first down. It'll be close. Kulka and Benefield combined to make the tackle.
Well, right now, I mean, Ottawa cannot afford to give up another major with about 3.5 to go in the third quarter. They have their backs up against the wall, first and goal at the 7-yard line. Somebody needs to come up with a big play. They need a turnover. Hamilton's in good position to get at least a field goal, but Ottawa desperately needs a turnover right here.
The only victories the Ticats have recorded this year have been against the winless Shreveport Pirates. Pass is complete right at the 1-yard line to Calvin Means. And Means was pinned right there by Remy Trudel. Means slipped as he tried to make a cut. That prevented him from scoring.
Great call by Rosenbaugh there to run off the secondary and bring Means underneath from the outside. And watch Hood as he comes up in here and gets Benefield down where Rosenbaugh can throw over the top. The key to give that quarterback a clear throwing lane with no obstructions there, and Hood got the job done. Sometimes it's more than just running the football, it's the blocking that's essential.
Second and goal, the short yardage offense is in. Hood gets the call. Touchdown.
This is a situation what the Ottawa Rough Riders didn't want to find themselves in, trailing right now 27-10 in the third quarter to the Hamilton Tiger Cats. Sometimes you get that sleeping dog syndrome, and that's where Hamilton came in. He'll get the handoff deep in the backfield on the search, and he finds a seam, and he just dives over the top beyond Trudeau, and Smith picks up the first down. Right now, Hamilton is in full control of this football game, Don.
Coming into the ball game to attempt the extra point, Paul Osbaldiston out of the hold of Todd Dillon. And he makes it a 28-10 lead for Hamilton over Ottawa. We'll be back with a Hamilton kickoff after this.
In Winnipeg, they're expecting their largest crowd of the season tomorrow for their rematch with the Saskatchewan Roughriders. We'll have the telecast at 1 Eastern, noon Central Time. At last word, Sacramento still led Baltimore by 6, so the Bombers may have a chance to move into sole possession of first in the East. And the football game will be followed by the De Maurier Limited International live from Spruce Meadows just outside Calgary, Don.
Yes, another busy weekend for CBC Sports. And here's a man who's been busy as a kick returner tonight, Joe Campbell, and he's upset by Eric Carter.
Well, you know, you talk about the races in the East and in the West. Last night we saw Edmonton manhandle Calgary. We see Hood once again on that critical touchdown to get the big lead here in the second half to increase it to 28-10. We'll see another angle, low angle right here. Great surge by his offensive line. But last night with the victory of Edmonton over Calgary to bring the races more tight, and we got the game tonight with Sacramento playing Baltimore. I mean, now it's all up for grabs. Anyone can win and finish in second place in either division.
Barrett has his man wide open. Nick Mazzoli on the far side of the field, taken out of bounds by Adrian Smith. A 22-yard pickup. Barrett doesn't have a great completion percentage, but on those he has hit the receiver, they've gone for big gains.
Well, he throws this ball from the far hash mark all the way across field. That's about a 40-yard pass in the air just to get it to the point where Mazzoli was standing with the 10 yards up the field. A 50-yard pass to pick up 22, as you say.
First and 10 from the 51 of Hamilton. Barrett can't find a receiver, and he can't find any running room. Closed off by Tim Cofield and John Moten. 1:22 remaining in the third quarter.
One of the critical things when you're passing game, when you're trying to throw deep often, is that the time that the offensive line will give you, it will break down eventually, and that defensive line is relentless.
Let's go down to Scott.
On the Ottawa bench, Len Johnson, the defensive lineman's out for the night. He rolled his ankle, and Don, I don't think the Corey Dowden holy water solution will work on him this evening. He's in all kinds of pain and is not going to come back.
Yes, he looked very uncomfortable when he went off the field, and obviously he has a major problem to contend with. Nick Mazzoli was the man that Barrett was looking for. He overthrew him, and the Rough Riders will be forced to kick it away.
And that's one of the things when you have that horizontal passing game, you're going from side to side. You need to go vertical. You got to go up. You got to go up the field and the seams, hit the hot routes, hit the quick hitters, and that way you give your receivers a chance to run. The game of Ottawa is predicated on the wideouts, and they've had problems connecting tonight.
The ball bounces to Adrian Smith. He's being chased by Patrick Burke and brought down by the Ottawa defensive back. 27 seconds remaining in the third quarter. Again, let's go to Scott.
Okay, Don, they're late fourth quarter now. Memorial Stadium in Baltimore, and Sacramento still leads by 6, but now the score is 27-21. An exchange of majors, Rod Harris for Sacramento and Chris Armstrong for Baltimore, so the Gold Miners clinging to the lead late in the game.
And if Sacramento holds that lead, they will move within a point of fourth place Saskatchewan in the West.
Well, you talk about a team that's desperate for a victory. They've been on the skids. Sacramento ran into some problems scoring points. They lost quarterback David Archer for a game. He was replaced. Now seems they may be on the right track, and they have Baltimore at base, 27-21.
Well, Glenn Kulka goes to nose tackle. Kropke and McCready play the defensive end positions with Len Johnson out of the ball game. John Hood is the ball carrier. And it's Kropke and Kalka who make the tackle.
Look, Alfred Smith down at the bottom of that also got his nose in there. He's played a well of a game other than those critical mental mistakes that he's made on the penalty situations. But his defensive tackles, he's been a stalwart out there tonight.
He's made 7 tackles for the Rough Riders tonight. Defense had an indication of the type of night it would be when they were forced to stay on the field for the first 5 minutes and 39 seconds of the ball game. Rosenbaugh throws deep along the sidelines, intended for McKay, incomplete. He was being covered by Patrick Burke, and that is the final play of the 3rd quarter. With the Hamilton Ticats 15 minutes away from their 3rd win of the season.
The CFL on CBC. Brought to you by SaskTel.
Well, if the Ottawa Rough Riders lose tonight's ball game, they'll be 3-7. The last time they had a winning record was 1979, and the last time they played in a Grey Cup game was 1981. They had a 5-11 record that year. They almost scored the major upset. They lost 26-23 to Edmonton. But since 1981, every other established team in the Canadian Football League has won the Grey Cup at least once.
What are you trying to say? They're in a drought?
A long drought. Mazzoli at the 53-yard line. Good downfield tackling by the Ticats. Their coverage has been pretty good on special teams tonight.
They've been marvelous tonight. They've done a good job of getting downfield, corralling the return team of Hamilton, limiting the game and the space that they have to operate in.
How does a team score 54 points one week and only 10 the next?
Sometimes everything just clicks for you in a particular game, and everything was working for Ottawa last week when they played Las Vegas. They couldn't seem to do anything wrong, but one of the keys was that they were throwing the ball down the middle. They weren't going to the outside all the time, and when you throw to the middle, you have a better chance to complete them. Less distance the ball has to travel.
This one is over the middle, but Joe Campbell can't hang on. It will be 2nd and 10. 17,321 watching the action at Frank Clair Stadium. Those turnovers have been dynamite. And you know, Urban Bowman, the defensive coordinator and assistant head coach, was saying that the giveaway takeaway category is an area in which he assesses how well his team is playing, the overall play of the team. And in the giveaway takeaway category, the Ottawa Rough Riders are on the minus side of the ledger. Not only tonight, but for the season. This is Stephan Jones making the catch and going out of bounds for the first down. They came into the ball game in the giveaway takeaway category at -3. That's a 19-yard gain for Jones.
Well, they got -3 to add to that tonight. Stephan Jones, you really like the game that he plays. I mean, he runs the patterns very crisp, breaks it off to the outside, and he gives the shoulders turn where you can see the ball coming at him. He gets both hands up, makes the reception for the big gain to get him down to the 30-yard line.
1st and 10 from the 30. Mazzoli wide right, Jones to the left. Barrett will decide to run this one, and he's caught by John Moulton. Michael O'Shea, the middle linebacker, had started to drop out of there, but he recovered and was able to aid Moulton in the tackle.
Well, you know, Ottawa's not completely out of this game with 13 minutes to go, trailing 28-10. If Danny Barrett can somehow put this into the end zone, his team is right back in this contest, but it is critical, the key. He has to put it into the end zone.
Twice they were down at the 5-yard line on 1st and goal and couldn't get it in the end zone. And it looks as though they're going to be stymied once again as the pass intended for Campbell falls incomplete.
And once again, Coach Adam Arita is going to elect to go for a field goal. The game is not over by any means, but how many times, if you're Ottawa, can you stand coming down, getting in close to the red zone, and not being able to execute? You can move the team between the 40s, but you haven't been able to get the critical yardage when it's necessary.
Adam Rita had a chat with Danny Barrett in the second quarter when he was struggling. That seemed to settle him down. But he has moved the club from his own end of the field into the Hamilton end, but hasn't been able to put it into the end zone. Bit of hesitation as Fleetwood mishandled the snap from center, but Baker is able to put it through. 28-13 is the score.
The Riders might start rushing the ball to get back into this one. They've had 400-yard games this season by 3 different backs, Michael Richardson and his replacements, Jerry Collins and now Joe Campbell. So 2 points here, Don. First, the Riders like to run the ball, and second, they've been able to find quality backs. 3 with the season barely half over. If they could just get Campbell going tonight, it might help.
Yes, they have to get more than just Campbell going, though. With time running out in the fourth quarter, they have to get their passing attack going. I don't think they can afford to stay with the ground game at all. Means was the kickoff returner, running it back 28 yards.
You know, we look at Danny Barrett with his passing statistics tonight. He's only completed 12 passes, but last week he only completed 20 passes for 386 yards and 4 touchdowns in that 54-point outburst against Las Vegas. So he's not that far off of his pace. He just needs some things to go his way here. He's been pressing, maybe relax a little bit, observe things. Maybe if they throw another quarterback in for one series.
Rosenbaugh throws it to Calvin Means, the out pattern, but Andre Francis was there with him, and that limits the gain to about 2 yards.
Andre Francis has played a very strong game tonight out at left cornerback. He read Rosenbaugh and Means perfectly, and he was able to break on the ball as it was released, grab Means right as he caught the ball to limit the gain to just 2 yards on the play.
A veteran CFL performer, Andre Francis, has been with a number of teams. And Horace Brooks knocked it away from Lee Knight.
That is the second chance that Horace Brooks has had of intercepting a ball tonight. He has had 2 excellent breaks on Tim Rosenbaugh passes, getting the read as Rosenbaugh has tried to go inside, Don, and came up just short of an interception.
Paul Osbaldiston getting set for this 3rd down punt. He's had 2 that have bounced in front of him. This is another low snap, but he's able to field it cleanly. Mazzoli takes the kick at the 40-yard line. And Mazzoli gets it up to the 54. There's a penalty flag in the play. That was a 14-yard run back after a 36-yard kick.
In position where we're going to get that illegal block.
Illegal block, Ottawa number 59 on the return, 10-yard penalty.
James Monroe was guilty of the illegal block. Danny Barrett has completed 12 of 31. He's averaging about 18 yards per completion, but you have to have a better completion percentage than 40%.
You got to do a lot better than that. You'd like for your quarterbacks to be up that 55, 58% completion ratio on average, and Danny Barrett has been much below that tonight. He is just not throwing the ball to the proper spots on the field, and that's over the middle where he needs to go more consistently.
Or you could be a Doug Flutie at almost 65%, at least until last night's game. Joe Campbell makes the catch for a 1st down at the 48 in front of Greg Eaglin.
And that was the key, Don, is that he went over the middle. You'll see right here, Barrett plenty of time by his offensive line. Campbell right in front of Eaglin for a 22-yard reception on that play to get the ball down to the 48.
Barrett faked as though he was going to go to the sidelines, and I think he wisely pulled that down. Gary Wilkerson was covering Nick Mazzoli, and I think he may have been trying to bait Barrett a little. trying to make Barrett think that he was playing off and maybe too far back. But with that long throw to the sidelines, that might have been an interception.
Well, if you see all the receivers, he got dual receivers on each side, and he has them both out wide, Don. No one was in the middle of the field. Maybe he's going to need to slip one of those backs up the seam, Joseph or Campbell, because Tim Cofield picked up the sack on that play, and that's what the defensive line will do when you have no threat in the middle of the field.
He won't get a chance to throw as he's caught from behind by Tim Cofield. The ball came loose, but they rule that Barrett had already been down.
Well, Tim Cofield is having a marvelous fourth quarter here. We'll see him right here at the end. He's just going to press the corner around. Barrett here is going to come back, and he'll meet him right there in the pocket because the secondary is doing a wonderful job of covering, and Danny Barrett has nowhere to go. Tim Cofield comes around and picks up his second successive sack of the series.
9:36 remaining in the ball game. 28-13 is the score. Good kick by Baker. Zatilny back to the 2-yard line. Downfield very quickly to make the tackle is Patrick Burke with 9:17 remaining. Scott?
Well, Don, here's something to consider. The Ticats don't feel that just winning this game is good enough. Ottawa beat them by 28 in July. They only played twice this season, so this is the completion of the season series. And as you know, points for and against often come into play as a tie-breaking criteria. The Ticats are worried about finishing tied with Ottawa, so they think they have to win this one by at least 29 points. They've got the wind at their backs in this quarter, and now they've got to get to work.
Now they've got a long way to go if they're going to put any points on the board because they're going to scrimmage from their own 7-yard line. There's going to be a delay as an injured player is treated. I think Don Southern may have been suggesting to Wally Zatilny that he should have let that ball bounce through the end zone for a single point. Joey York was the injured Ticat player on the punt return, but it appears to be nothing more serious than maybe a cramp. Joey's father, Ray, has a big ball game tomorrow afternoon at Winnipeg Stadium. Ray York, the head coach of the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Ray's been more seriously injured this year than Joey.
Well, the home-and-home series between the Winnipeg Blue Bombers and the Saskatchewan Roughriders is going to be on CBC tomorrow. Big game for both teams, very critical.
John Hood, the ball carrier, stopped by Glenn Kalka. Ray got hit on the sidelines a few games back and has been on crutches ever since.
And that game last week was very exciting. Came down to the last play of the game when linebacker Dan Rasovich picked off a pass from Keithan McCanson, returned it all the way for a game-clinching touchdown.
Rosenbaugh looking for Calvin Means, incomplete. And Rough Riders are going to get the ball back in pretty good field position once again. David Benefield was pressuring Tim Rosenbach.
And once again, Don, quarterbacks looking to go all the way across field to the sideline. When you can go up the seams or you have a shorter route and a quicker chance to complete a football, you want to stretch the defense out completely. Nice do by David on taking off that hat on the sideline. But you see Benefield fighting against Lee Knight right here, and he gets up in Rosenbaugh's face, actually got a hand up in his face also, and you can see the little jubilation on the incompletion right there.
Might not be a bad idea right here to concede two.
He's going to do that in your wisdom. Ozzie doesn't want to be hit either.
Well, he took some time off the clock. He took the clock down to 8:11. The way the ball has been coming back to Osbaldiston tonight, and the fact that he's only been punting about 35, 36 yards, that was a good call, I think, by Don Southern to give up the 2 points rather than have Ottawa take over at about the 35 or 40-yard line.
Ottawa's gotten close on a couple occasions tonight, bringing their block team at Osbaldiston. In this situation, they gave up the 2.
Let's go down to the sidelines and again bring in Scott.
Okay, Don, at Memorial Stadium in Baltimore, the lead has changed hands. Baltimore's gone up 28-27 on Sacramento, and at last word, they were driving for more. We understand that Baltimore was on the Sacramento 5, and so we'll keep you updated. Only about 2 minutes to go in this game.
Well, Baltimore and Winnipeg in many preseason polls were expected to battle for first place in the Eastern Conference, and going into tonight's games, they were deadlocked with identical records of 6 and 3.
Well, Baltimore is a quite amazing story down there. Being a franchise record, they've already, if they win tonight, they will establish the best franchise winning record ever for a team, 7 games in their inaugural season. I mean, the fans in the city of Baltimore have to be quite proud of that team, that organization, owner Jim Spiros, all of what they've done to rejuvenize football in the Baltimore area once again.
Yeah, but they did all the right things. They hired an experienced CFL coaching staff, and they hired experienced CFL players.
The key is, like you said, that was the key, and they brought them in, and they've been able to mold together a solid unit and respond.
Campbell on the kick return. Wilkerson makes the tackle, but Ottawa has pretty good field position. A 26-yard run back by Joe Campbell.
Well, they're in decent field position. The score is 28-15 with 8 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. Critical time for quarterback Danny Barrett. He's had a lot of critical situations, but right now 13 for 32, 238 yards. The lone INT with no interceptions. He needs to just methodically move his team down the field. Not try to get it all done, but take his time. He has plenty of time with 8 minutes to go in the ball game.
Draw play with Darren Joseph. And Joseph picks up just a couple of yards before being stopped. Joseph, in his CFL debut as a starting running back last year against the BC Lions, racked up, actually in 92 against the BC Lions, racked up 171 yards. That was in a September 3rd game, 1992. 7:22 remaining in the football game. 2nd and 7. Sideline pass to Mazzoli. He should have the first down.
Going to be very close. They might bring the sticks in for a measurement here, Don. But a long pass once again out to Mazzoli, the wide out. He came back towards the football to his quarterback to help him out to close that gap to get the separation from the secondary. Looks like he might be the nose of a football short here. It's going to be a very interesting measurement.
Regardless, though, I'm certain the Ottawa Rough Riders will go after it.
Well, you're not a gambling man, and you wouldn't bet on that.
What's the over-under for this game?
I think the under might be quite safe at this point.
It is an Ottawa first down.
Got it by the nose. Now, that last play, they operated in the hurry-up offense. Quarterback Danny Barrett is going to stay in the hurry-up offense. And what this does is it doesn't give Hamilton a chance to regroup on defense, to set the scheme. They got to call a play and go with it for the series.
7 minutes remaining. Barrett's going after Ward deep. Interference. Called against Don Odegaard.
Don Odegaard, the rookie out of UNLV, and Coach Sutherland there on the sideline, a little frustrated with this rookie halfback right there. As you'll see Ward right here as he releases cleanly.
Hamilton number 28, deliberate foul, first down.
Off the line of scrimmage, and he gets behind Odegaard. And it's just a foot race right here, and Barrett gets a lot of air under the football. The safety Wiseman has not been getting over, but Odegaard was, you can see it right there, just clearly an interference call. Good call by the official.
Barrett goes to the end zone for Campbell. He makes the catch, but he's out of bounds. He did an excellent job of reaching out to pull that one in, but his momentum took him out of bounds.
I don't know he was out of bounds on that. I'd like to get another look at that. That was a very close call there because Campbell made an excellent effort after that football right there. We'll get an end zone shot here as Campbell, he'll come up the right sideline. He was in the slot, and he lays out for this football. Very close call right there. Couldn't get a good look at it.
Back to the live action. Intended for Stephan Jones, incomplete. Boy, the number of chances that the Ottawa Rough Riders have had and been unable to punch it in have been the difference in this football game, in addition to the 3 turnovers. Twice they've been at the 5-yard line, first and goal, and haven't been able to get a touchdown.
Well, the thing is that they haven't been patient, Don. They've tried to get it all in one shot. They've gone away from the 7 to 8 yard passes and are looking for the 20 and 30 yard passes consistently. And quarterback Danny Barrett is a more seasoned veteran than that. Sometimes you have to take what the defense is giving you, and he's pressing tonight. Terry Baker with another field goal, but the Ottawa Rough Riders need 6:11 is the time remaining. James, you know that guy having a drink and wearing the glasses? Is that Don Sutherland? I don't want his family upset with me for announcing the wrong name all night long, but Don, hey, I apologize. Fans, that's Don Sutherland, the head coach of the Hamilton Tiger Cats.
First and 10 from the 35-yard line. Handoff to John Hood. He gets out to the 41. That will be a pickup of 6. Small and Benefield made the tackle. Meantime, over at the Ottawa bench, Adam Rita had been conferring on the bench with Danny Barrett, and he's still sitting there talking to his quarterback, discussing the next offensive series they will run, and hopefully the Rough Riders will get the ball back. At least that's what they're thinking after this play. Whoa, they came close to getting it back a lot quicker than maybe even they anticipated, as Gary Lewis got his hand up on it to knock down the Tim Rosenbaum pass.
Well, you know, overall, Don, this Ottawa defense has played a pretty solid football game. You take away those 2 first-quarter quick touchdowns by Hamilton, other than the James Hood touchdown, John Hood touchdown on the long drive in the third quarter. They've really held this Hamilton offense in check. This defense has a lot to be proud of tonight. They've been maligned coming in, only second to Shreveport, but they've played a pretty solid football game.
Nick Mazzoli is the lone man back. As Baldiston trying to take as much time as possible. Another low snap. He gets the kick away. Mazzoli takes it at the 35. Mazzoli is forced to run out of bounds, and he's held up before he runs into the wall by Michael O'Shea. That was a 36-yard kick and a 5-yard return.
Well, once again, this Ottawa offense is faced with a formidable task of trying to go down and get a touchdown out of a drive. They've been getting field goals. Terry Baker's been a very busy man tonight, but this offense has just not been able to punch it in. They haven't been able to get inside the red zone other than twice this evening.
5 minutes remaining in the ball game. This time Mazzoli and Ward go wide left. Stephan Jones comes out to the right. Barrett completes the pass to Ellingson, and he'll be about a yard shy of a first down. Rashawn Bailey, shaken up earlier in the ball game, is back in for Hamilton.
Now, this is where Ottawa needs to stay in their hurry-up offense that they were in earlier in the last series, where they stayed at the line of scrimmage and possibly come with the rollout here to give Barrett that run-pass option.
But boy, they're taking far too much time off the clock.
So correcting that, Don.
Joseph gets the first down. The clock, however, continues to run.
The team needs to understand that they have just 4 minutes to go in the game, and they're trailing by 10 points. They need 2 scores. They need a major and a field goal. They have to have a sense of urgency about them.
Ellingson, the man again. He thought he could get up and run, but he had been contacted by Hassan Bailey about 2 yards shy of a first down again.
James Ellingson, not fleet of foot, but great of hands. He is one of those receivers that you can count on. When you throw him the ball, he can come up with the critical catch, and he's had back-to-back receptions.
Joseph takes the handoff and should have another first down, but the clock has ticked down to 3:28, and it continues to run.
It has become an ally of the Hamilton Tiger Cats right here. It's their 13th man on defense, and right now, Danny Barrett has been patient, but look for him to go deep. That's been his pattern most of the night.
Not good utilization of the clock. And we have a timeout with 3:04 remaining in the ball game, and the Rough Riders trailing by 10.
One of the things that's been a problem for Ottawa all night long, Don, is that they've wanted to go to the wide side of the field. They've had a reluctance to throw the ball over the middle. James Ellingson was running open down the seam about 12 yards from the line of scrimmage. If Danny Barrett, even though he had pressure on him, had looked in the middle of the field, he would have a first down and not any problems with this drive having second and long.
This time the clock won't start until the ball is snapped, and James Ellingson is able to juggle and hang on, but he can't escape the clutches of Michael O'Shea.
You're in a position where you need 10 points to tie up the ball game. And you've been going for field goals most of the night, and here it is 3rd and 10. Why do you elect to go for the first down and you need the 2 scores?
Good point. Maybe that, it's intercepted into the arms of Todd Wiseman. Now they're ruling that it's an incomplete pass. It looked as though Stephan Jones, when he came down, lost control of the ball. Now, did that ball actually hit the ground?
It hit the ground. It fell off of his left arm. You'll see right here Jones working against Adrian Smith right here. Watch as he comes around. The ball will bounce off of the turf as he goes to the turf, and it bounces up in Wiseman's arms. But back to my question, why don't you elect to go for the field goal in this situation? Right here, we'll see Jones. We'll get a better look at it. Ooh.
It didn't hit the ground.
Well, I wear glasses, Don. Gee, give me a break.
However, the officials don't have the benefit of a replay. They have to make those snap decisions right on the field, and most times they are accurate.
And being the WCOV that you are, it wasn't going to get past you.
Bonner making the tackle on John Hood. 2:28 remaining. Yeah, they needed a field goal and a touchdown. That might have been a good time to try for the field goal.
I think it would have been the proper time to go for it. You elected to go for it on the other occasions tonight, and you were in Terry Baker field goal range, and you needed the 2 scores, and at that point you've been struggling offensively. If you get the field goal, it brings you within 7. If you can get a defensive stand, then you take the chance and go in for the touchdown on the next possession. You would utilize your 3rd down.
John Hood is the injured Hamilton player. That means Dave Donnell will come into the ball game.
Right here you'll see Bonner as he comes in, and he'll fall across the ankle of Hood as he rolls up on it, and Hood got up limping after that play as Bonner rolled it over, and he's had a pretty solid game tonight.
Let's go down to the sidelines, and here's Scott.
All right, Don, a wild finish in Baltimore. Sacramento was won at 30-29. Donald Igwebuike missed a 21-yarder that would have made it 31-27 Baltimore. He slipped and fell, so the CFLers got a single. Sacramento took it on the 35. They drove, and Roman Anderson kicked a 47-yarder with no time on the clock to win it for the Gold Miners. No one's happier about this result than the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, who, as a result of Baltimore's loss, now have a chance to take sole possession of first in the East tomorrow when they play Saskatchewan. But how about that finish in Baltimore?
Yes, how about that finish? How about the finish here last week? Adam Rita's team going into overtime to defeat the Las Vegas Posse 54-50, the second highest scoring game of all time in the CFL. Tonight he he'd have been happy for half of those points.
Yeah, but you can't package them up and take them into the next week, Don.
Well over the head of Calvin Means. Again, David Benefield was pressuring quarterback Tim Rosenbach.
You know, you look at Tim Rosenbach and you look at Danny Barrett, they seem like they're trading play sequences when they come on and off the field, because we're just seeing a reverse of what the other one is doing. They're willing to go to the wideouts. You need to run some time off the clock. So in Rosenbach's situation, he should try to complete the short pass to keep the clock running.
It almost seems that late in this game, as was the case on Labor Day, Rosenbach is getting locked in on Calvin Means as a receiver.
He is throwing to his right and easy to read, and they're rolling up the coverage to that side of the field and putting the pressure in his face, and he's throwing incompletions.
Fred Ward is back as a punt returner. This man has speed if he can find an opening, but he doesn't. Tripped up initially by McKee, limiting the return to 5 yards. 1:55 is the time remaining. And the Ottawa Rough Riders need a touchdown and a field goal to tie.
Well, this is the situation, Don. If they had elected to go for the field goal in that last offensive possession, they would be in a good position here to tie up the football game.
If they had made the field goal.
Well, all right, I'll go with that.
1st and 10, Ottawa operating from the 32. Pass complete to Joseph. And Joseph won't get a first down. He's stopped at the 39 by Michael O'Shea. I think the defensive philosophy right now of the Hamilton Ticats is the old bend it but don't break theory.
Give them everything underneath, but don't let anyone get behind you.
Patrick goes out from a linebacking position. Eric Carter comes in as an extra defensive back. Danny Barrett on the quarterback draw for a first down. This is a play that worked so well against Las Vegas last week.
Well, last week Barrett ran for 79 yards on plays quite similar to that, but tonight he's been held in check in his running.
1:35 remaining. 1st and 10. The ball is at the 46. Barrett overthrows the man on the sideline, Stephan Jones, and then takes a hit from Michael Philbrick.
Danny Barrett has not had a pleasing evening tonight. He has taken a pounding from this Hamilton defense that has risen to the occasion. We've talked about their offense being able to score 28 points, but their defense has held Ottawa to just 18.
Next week, the Ticats return home to face the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, while the Ottawa Rough Riders on Sunday travel to Toronto. Barrett going deep, incomplete, intended for Stephan Jones again. 1:18 remaining, and it's 3rd and 10. If the Ticats hang on to win this game, do you think Don Southern will suggest they make remainder of the road trips this year via train?
Well, I think it gave the team that closeness. It gave them the extra time to spend together on the long trip. Instead of that short 55-minute plane flight, you spend 4.5, 5 hours on a train. You get a chance to talk, be comfortable. You ease some of the tension with your teammates. And they had good results tonight. I mean, you come on the road and you get a win away from home, and in a conference win at that, you have to feel very good about what you accomplished here tonight at Frank Clair.
Adrian Smith waits for the 3rd down kick at the 22-yard line. And he goes down at the 26.
And, you know, here they come punting the ball away, Don. A minute, 20 seconds to go in the game. You're down by 10. They've made 2 critical calls that I question. The last sequence when they did not elect to go for the field goal. And here you're trailing by 10 and you elect to punt the ball away with just a little over a minute to go, knowing in that situation that you're just playing not to win the football game.
Well, if the Ticats prevail, each team will have beaten the other this season, and their other 2 wins for both sides have been against expansion teams. John Hood back in the ball game, stopped by Brian Bonner. 1:06 remains.
And now Rosenbach keeps the ball on the ground this series to allow some time to run off the clock. Will he run it again? Because this is a situation where you just want to limit the number of plays that Ottawa will have to execute offensively, because it seems like you might be punting the ball back to them.
Don Southern's going to give that gum a pretty good workout over this final minute.
Sudsy, I'll go with that. Sudsy.
Rosenbach taking as much time as possible before giving to Hood, who gets up to the 30-yard line with 43 seconds remaining. The Ticats will be forced to kick, and I think a timeout is going to be called here by Ottawa to prevent Hamilton from taking any more time off the clock.
You know, it's odd, you know, why would you call a timeout here and yet you elected to punt the ball away the last time you had an offensive possession? You really run out of time to even have an opportunity to win this football game with 43 seconds to go, and you're down by 10 points. Even though stranger things have happened in a CFL game, it doesn't seem that things have been in your favor tonight.
Well, I'm sure Adam Rita came into this game very optimistic based on what his team did last week, thinking that his offense was ready to explode again tonight, but they've only been able to put 18 points on the board. However, they have been in scoring position on at least 3 occasions. Penalty flag on the play. This could be an offside call. Mazzoli takes the ball and gets to the 52 of Hamilton. 34 seconds remain. That was a 31-yard kick and an 8-yard return.
So it's going to be critical, and it is offsides, and if you're Hamilton, you're going to end up with about a third and a 1.5. Do you elect to kick it away again?
Yes, sir.
Okay. That was a quick conversation.
Offside. Ottawa number 2, 5-yard penalty, third down received.
Horace Brooks just a little anxious to try and get through and block the third down punt by Paul Osbaldiston.
Well, you know, that's a positive, though, with Horace Brooks. Even though he was offside, this is a player with 35 seconds to go in the game, still trying to make something happen. His head is still in the game where it should be.
Mazzoli mishandles it, manages to pick it up and return it about 6 yards before being stopped by Michael O'Shea. That was a 45-yard kick and a 6-yard return. 24 seconds remaining for Danny Barrett to try and perform a miracle here at Frank Clair Stadium.
You know, what would really amaze me is that he didn't go deep 3 plays in succession right here. If he throws an 8 or 9-yard pass, I'm going to wonder what was he thinking for the first 59 minutes and 50 seconds of this ball game.
Jones goes wide left, Mazzoli wide right. Reggie Rogers makes sure he doesn't get an opportunity to throw. 19 seconds remain.
And you look at the secondary of the Hamilton Tiger Cats, and they're laying deep. They're not going to allow the receivers to get behind them, but Reggie Rogers, with just a 3-man rush on right here, comes in and just brings Danny Barrett down for another sack against the Ottawa quarterback tonight.
To Joe Campbell, and Campbell steps out of bounds up at the 44, but he's short of a first down with 9 seconds remaining.
And that was my 8-yard pass. I have a problem in trying to figure out why quarterbacks don't do more of that when the game is close and you have plenty of time to work down the field. And yet when you have a sense of urgency, when the time has run out for you and you need to pick up 30 or 40, you throw the 8-yard pass.
Campbell again, and he steps out of bounds with 4 seconds remaining. A first down at midfield, and this will be the final play of the ball game.
Well, I guess this will improve the passing statistics more or less. When you look at Campbell last week against Las Vegas, he had the big game on the ground with 131 yards on 21 carries. Tonight, he's been limited to only 27 yards on the ground, and Danny Barrett is far below the numbers that he had passing last week, and those two are the telling statistics with the lack of offense that Ottawa's presented tonight.
And also 2 major injuries tonight for Ottawa, Len Johnson and Jim Mills. Darren Joseph wrestled down by Carter, and that will do it. The Hamilton Ticats move into a tie for 4th place in the East with the Ottawa Rough Riders by beating Ottawa 28-18. Scott?
Don, the Ticats rode the train to Ottawa and picked up a 10-point win, and now the ride home may seem just a bit shorter. 28-18 the final. Back in a moment. This would have to be considered an upset. A team that had scored 12 touchdowns in 9 games gets 28 points tonight, and Hamilton defeats the Riders in Ottawa. Tim Rosenbaugh had his finest game in his 10-week CFL career. Watch this one, a fake reverse pass to Ken Abraire. A slice of the CFL worked to perfection, and it sent the Cats on their way to victory. Tim, how did you feel about this effort tonight?
I'm pretty excited about it. I'm a little, it hasn't really hit me right at this point. We needed to have a big game. I needed to have a big game, and it's just a tribute to my teammates standing behind me and being able to come out and play as hard as they did tonight. And when you have a team effort like that, offensively and defensively, you win.
A lot of people have volunteered opinions on your performance through 10 weeks of the CFL schedule. How do you feel it's gone?
Well, you know, everybody's got the answers. That's always kind of cracked me up. I don't really pay too much attention to them. A lot of people say I should, but I don't believe I should. So I just go out and I got to beat
That's tough, perhaps. Carry on.
I got to beat Tim Rosenbaugh, and that's who I am, and I got to learn how I'm going to learn. And if it takes time, it takes time, and just got to work at it.
Did you feel some pressure to come up big tonight because of the acquisition of Reggie Slack from Toronto this week?
No, not really. I mean, whatever happens, happens. I mean, I have no control over that, and you know, they can do whatever they want, mess around, bring in whoever they want. I just have to, when I'm in there, I have to do the best I can, and the guys on the team do their job, and everything will work out.
Well, your best game to date in the CFL was tonight. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Hamilton Ticats win by 10. Back to conclude the proceedings at Frank Clair Stadium in just a moment.